Hello and welcome back everyone, we Weeb Online, and today I'm gonna continue the story What If Naruto Unlocked the Golden Eye Part 2. If you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
Naruto awoke to the sound of the alarm clock he had set up the night before in order to prevent being late. He rolled out of bed and went to the bathroom for his morning ritual after yawning and stretching a little to release the tension in his sleeping muscles. In order to prepare his own breakfast and some packed ones for his team later, he made a shadow clone after taking a morning shower. When he got home yesterday evening, he concluded that the advice to abstain from food was bad for a shinobi's health, particularly when it came to missions. There was something strange about the entire situation because a shinobi must always have all of his energy before starting a mission. Additionally, since shinobi were meant to be cunning, he wouldn't outdo Kakashi by creating false instructions to trick them. He went up to the armory and sealed some much-needed supplies in case there was a major team battle during Kakashi's test. He chose to pack 10 explosive tags, 10 soldier pills, 50 kunais, and 50 shurikens in case his teammates ran out of chakra during a fight. He sealed the remainder in a scroll and put it in one of his robe's secret pockets, while packing the remainder into his holsters and pouch. After eating a substantial breakfast in the kitchen, he picked up the extra food and placed it in a storage seal on his left arm. He created an amazing seal that is perfect for any shinobi who spends a lot of time in the field. They can effortlessly carry the essentials on any mission without needing to carry packs or scrolls because they have a storage seal on their body. Regretfully, he is the only one who knows how to make such a seal and hasn't yet shared it with anyone. He needs a few tricks up his sleeve, and he can always disguise it as a clan technique to avoid being bothered by the council. He made the decision to take the scenic route after realizing that he still had an hour before meeting the team. Before departing for Training Ground 7, he called Hikari once more, brought out some treats she enjoyed, and fed them to her. His teammates were already there when he reached his destination. In order to watch his teammates, he told Hikari to hover for a while before landing. Upon closer inspection, he noticed that Sasuke and Sakura were both wearing the worst possible appearance. It appears that they strictly adhered to Kakashi's advice and skipped breakfast. Hikari landed after he pushed her to do so, landing a few feet from the other members of Team 7 before Naruto leapt off. He gave Hikari more candy as a thank you, which she quickly devoured before leaving for her house. In response to his friend's antics, Naruto shook his head. Phoenixes have a sweet tooth, but who knew that? Naruto approached his group. Sakura was seated beneath one of the training logs that were scattered throughout the training ground, and Sasuke was perched atop it. He approached them. Naruto said, "Hi Sasuke, Sakura. Good morning," with a smile. Sasuke simply regarded him with disgust. He grunted, "What's so good about the morning dobi?" "Yeah. If you noticed, we didn't get much sleep and we didn't get to eat any breakfast. We're hungry and it's still too early," Sakura grumbled. Naruto simply regarded them with amusement. He questioned incredulously, "Don't tell me you followed Kakashi's advice to not eat breakfast?" His teammates simply stared at him as though he were insane. Sakura said impatiently, "Baka, of course we did. Kakashi-sensei said so." Naruto gave a headshake. He looked calmly at his teammates and flopped down in front of them. "Guys, if you think about it, Kakashi-sensei didn't exactly tell us not to eat breakfast." Sasuke asked, "What do you mean dobi? Think about it. He said not to eat breakfast since we are just going to throw it up. If you think that you can handle his exam, then you can eat without having to worry about his order. Hell, you can even get a few bites so your stomach won't bother you until the next meal. Also, don't you think that it is against the shinobi code to not eat breakfast? What if this was a mission? You would be dead before you can get a mile out of Konoha. What if you got ambushed on your way to your destination with your client? How can you protect them if you don't even have enough chakra to attack?" explained Naruto as patiently as he could to get his point across. Sakura was quiet for once, and Sasuke was lost in thought. Both were considering what Naruto had said. He made the decision to encourage them to work together more after noticing that they were both considering it. He sincerely hoped they would view him as a teammate rather than a competitor. "I see that you understood what I was trying to say, so did you guys bring any food? There's still a few minutes before the start of the test so you can eat some food to keep your energies up." Sakura gave him a tense look before sadly responding, "No, we didn't bring any food with us." Both of them winced as their stomachs let out a loud growl of hunger, but Sasuke remained silent. Naruto simply grinned and directed a small amount of chakra toward his left hand's storage seal. A medium-sized lunchbox materialized between them with a puff of smoke. When Naruto took off the lid, he saw that there was enough breakfast to easily feed 3 people. There were some fruits, sweet buns, and an orange juice bottle inside. They were both hungrily eyeing the food. To demonstrate his point, Naruto pulled out a sweet bun and took a deep bite. Good thing I thought of packing some extra food just in case we have to stay here long. Why don't you guys eat so we won't have to worry about both of you dropping like flies later? Naruto said with a smile. For Sasuke and Sakura, Naruto's offer was accepted simply by witnessing him consume the food. They both dove into the lunchbox with ravenous appetites and devoured everything they could find. Naruto enjoyed watching them stuff all the food he had brought with their empty bellies. Sakura and Sasuke took a good swig of juice to wash down the food they had consumed. They both sighed and wore satisfied expressions. After grinning at them, Naruto put the now empty lunchbox back in the seal. Naruto leaned on one of the poles and said, "So guys, any idea what the test is all about?" Sakura gave a headshake. "Nope. I tried asking Ino's dad about it but he was tight-lipped. Any idea, Sasuke-kun?" With a grunt, Sasuke muttered, "No, well, whatever it is we can easily handle it. Sasuke is the rookie of the year after all and Sakura is one of the brightest kunoichi in the academy. Between the 3 of us, this will be a piece of cake," declared Naruto with assurance. Sakura blushed a little and gave Naruto a grateful glance as Sasuke's chest puffed up a little at the compliment. As they waited for their sensei to arrive, the 3 of them fell into a cozy silence, but after an hour, everything went haywire. Since they couldn't leave, they each decided to do something to kill time because they were bored. Sasuke made the decision to throw kunais at one of the training posts as a small amount of target practice. As usual, Sakura was occupied with complimenting Sasuke on every throw. Naruto stepped back from the group and took up a comfortable position in the center of the field, placing both hands on his sides with all fingers pointing to the ground and his feet shoulder-width apart. After inhaling deeply, he directed his chakra toward his hands, more precisely, his fingers, and gradually created 2 chakra blades. He began his workout after closing his eyes. The idea of having 2 blades, which could be used for both defense and attack, captivated Naruto. Naruto chose to create his own style by incorporating 2 swords into his mother's kenjutsu technique, even though his clan library lacked reading material on dual sword techniques. Although he discovered that it had many holes for a 2-sword style, he chose to use the original as the basis for a new kata. Despite the slow progress, Naruto was adamant about getting it down. When Sasuke watched Naruto make his chakra blades, he stopped practicing his throwing because he was so envious. Being the last devoted Uchiha in Konoha, he has received accolades and gifts since he was a young child. At first, he wasn't particularly affected by the attention, but over time, the constant display of it made him conceited, especially when someone with greater authority than him did so. Gritting his teeth, he made the decision to face the blonde. Sakura followed him as he strode off towards his blonde teammate after pocketing all of the kunais he had used. Upon approaching, he noticed that Naruto was weaving through each swing with his eyes closed in concentration. He chose to interrupt because he disliked being ignored. "Hey Dobi." When Naruto heard Sasuke's voice, he became distracted. He halted his workout, spread his chakra blades, and turned to face his teammate with the dark hair. Calmly, he said, "Anything I can do for you, Sasuke?" Sasuke demanded, "How did you create those blades?" Naruto simply stared at him. He understood Sasuke's mindset given his desire to exact revenge on his family and was aware that he was constantly envious of those who were more skilled than him. He dislikes haughty people in general, but he didn't particularly despise the man. He truly wanted this team to succeed, so last night he made the cautious decision to approach his teammates. He made fun of Sasuke by tripping over the grass and settling into a lotus position. He then motioned for Sasuke to follow suit, which he did. In an attempt to probe his teammates' mindset and make a professional appeal, Naruto asked respectfully, "What do you want to know, Sasuke?" Sasuke asked impatiently, "I want to know how you made those things or whatever it is you call them." When the dark-haired Avenger made demands, Naruto chose to comply, grinning. "What do you know of the Uzumaki clan?" He snapped a less than cordial response, annoyed at being questioned. Naruto disregarded the pathetic insult to his clan's reputation and asked, "Why should I know about such a loser clan?" Naruto responded calmly, but his narrowed eyes demonstrated that he was trying to keep his temper from erupting. "Well, if you want to know about how I created my chakra blades, then you first need to know about the Uzumaki clan in general." Because she was interested in Naruto's clan, Sakura made the decision to butt in. Naruto, what is the connection between the Uzumaki clan and those chakra blades you mentioned?" Naruto turned to Sakura. He chose to explain it to her, and consequently to Sasuke, after noticing that she was sincerely interested. He raised one hand and made a chakra blade for them to see, saying, "Everything. The current skills I have are all part of my bloodline that is quite common in the Uzumaki clan." As he let go of the blade he had made, which vanished into thin air, Naruto explained, "This is just one of the few things I can do with my bloodline. It is called chakra manipulation. It allows me to create any construct out of chakra and focus alone. There is something in my clan's DNA that allows us to gain control of our own chakra as if it was sentient and bended to our will. I want you to teach it to me, Dobi," Sasuke commanded in a haughty manner. For now, Naruto disregarded it once more. "Well, I'm not sure if it can be taught, Sasuke. As I said before, it is part of my mother's bloodline and is deeply tied into our DNA. According to my mother's records, she tried to teach it once to a friend of hers but wasn't able to get it because they just can't gain total control of their chakra. She said on her scroll that normal shinobis gain control of their chakra through the use of hand seals to manipulate how they work. This is how jutsus work. In my clan, we can do anything with it without requiring the use of seals." "Tisk. She must have taught a loser then if she can't get it right," Sasuke laughed. Sasuke's declaration caused Naruto's eyes to sparkle a little. If that is how he wants to play, then it's time to bring down the Uchiha arrogance a few pegs. Naruto was thinking. "Okay, Sasuke. There was no record of her teaching a Uchiha our technique, but maybe you would be the first to get it right. Even Sakura can join us if she wants," argued Naruto. Sasuke brashly declared, "Bring it on, Dobi. I can do this with my eyes closed." Naruto screamed in his head, "Gotcha, you bastard. Hook, line, and sinker." "Great. Let's get started then. The first part of the exercise that is practiced by all Uzumaki clan in chakra manipulation is to bring out your chakra to a visible spectrum. According to my mother's journal, she was able to complete this exercise when she was 3 years old. I got it after 5 months when I decided to learn it. Now, I want you to channel your chakra to your hand and try to bring it out. Make it visible to a solid state. Here, let me demonstrate." Naruto extended his hand and concentrated for a moment. His entire hand, down to the wrist, gradually became covered in a white chakra aura. "Sakura, I want you to touch the chakra on my hand and tell me if it is solid or not," told Naruto. Sakura followed instructions and jabbed a finger at Naruto's hand's visible chakra. It was solid, which surprised her. From the wrist to the fingers, she moved her fingers. Yes, it was undoubtedly sturdy. Amazing. I've never seen solid chakra before. I'll be surprised if you did because chakra is supposed to be intangible in a sense. Only an Uzumaki clan can make a solid construct out of it. Now why don't you both try? All you need to do is to channel chakra to your hand as much as you can and force it to become solid. Don't worry about your chakra reserves. I brought some soldier pills with me in case you run out." So they did. Sakura and Sasuke made valiant attempts for the next hour to release chakra into their hands and follow Naruto's example, but to no avail. Both were growing irritated as Naruto amusedly observed them while demonstrating his chakra manipulation prowess. The sturdy object in his grasp changed into a fan, a kunai, a sword, a knife, and even a senbon. Hisa showing off was annoying the Uchiha, he realized, but Sakura had this resolute expression on her face. Both stopped the exercise after a few minutes, and Naruto gave them each a pill to refuel. "So, how did it go?" "Hard, right? Is there no other way to teach it to others? It is pretty useful," Sakura thought. Naruto pondered for a long time. It cannot be taught, but if a non-Uzumaki clan member follows the exercise, then there are some benefits you can get out of it. With a frustrated tone, Sasuke questioned, "What is it?" He was a little upset that no one could learn such a strong technique because it was inherited. He made every effort to follow Naruto's instructions, but it appears that the Dobi was correct that only a member of the Uzumaki blood can learn it. I guess you would have an improved control over your chakra. Theoretically, it would make it easier for you to do various ninjutsu techniques or even increase your physical capabilities. There are a lot of possibilities if you have improved chakra control. One example here is Sakura. "Me?" a startled Sakura inquired. "Yes. Have you ever noticed that your strength is stronger than that of an average genin in the academy despite your obvious lack of muscles and speed?" Sakura blushed as she said, I never really thought of that. To be honest, I didn't really pay attention to it." She didn't even realize she was the most intelligent kunoichi in their class. "That is because you have an almost perfect chakra control. Because your control is so good, you subconsciously channel chakra every time you release a punch, thus increasing its overall strength. If you can gain control over such skill and convert it from passive to active, then who knows how stronger your attacks would become. How do you think I can do that? A giddy Sakura asked, practically jumping out of her seat at the thought of strengthening herself to attract Sasuke's attention. Training, of course. You need to dish out hard work and training to get to that level. Remember, chakra will only enhance what already have. For example, if your current strength can decimate a tree with a single punch, imagine how powerful it would become if you use your chakra to enhance its effects. If I remember my history correctly, Tsunade of the Sannin has the same ability. He looked at the gloomy Sasuke. Even you can do the same thing, Sasuke, if you apply the same concept. Sasuke said arrogantly, HMPH. I don't need to do those things. We Uchiha are already strong. Naruto felt compelled to choke the haughty teenager in front of him. To make his point and perhaps win over the conceited boy, Naruto said, that is where you're wrong, Sasuke. Let me ask you a rhetorical question. Do you think I'm strong? HNNNN, was Sasuke's only response, but Sakura decided to respond on his behalf. Well, from what you've shown in the academy, you are strong because of your bloodline, acknowledged Sakura. You're wrong, Sakura. I didn't gain my strength and skill just because of my bloodline. Let me ask you this, out of all the years we spent together in the academy, when have you seen me use my bloodline, especially in spars? Sakura couldn't think of anything. Naruto was correct. During their time in the academy, he did not use his bloodline. His ability was demonstrated by the spars. Only during the ninjutsu lesson and the battle with Sasuke did he use his bloodline. Sakura's expression showed understanding, so Naruto decided to respond on her behalf. I think you got my point, Sakura. I didn't rely on my bloodline. Sure, I practiced with it a couple of times to improve my control over it, but I don't let it rule my life, you know. I train my body every day and was able to reach my current level through hard work. Having a bloodline alone doesn't make you special. I consider it as a tool to help me get stronger and survive. Other than that, I consider it a crutch if I depend too much on it. The Sharingan is one example of it. When Sasuke heard this, he became irate. The blonde teenager was rounded on by him. What? The Sharingan is not a crutch. It is the true strength of the Uchiha clan. It is what makes us powerful. Naruto let out a sigh. Sasuke was simply that stubborn. Okay, let me ask you this, Sasuke. You don't have your Sharingan now, but you are Rookie of the Year in the academy. How did you reach that level? Simple, you trained yourself every day. I know your drive to defeat your brother and to avenge your clan, and you used that drive to get stronger. However, you are relying too much on your Sharingan, or will rely on it too much when you awaken it in the future. Sasuke growled, explain. He wanted to understand the blonde's point, but he didn't particularly like the direction this was taking. Despite Sasuke's hostility, Naruto felt that he was gradually winning the boy over. Alright, Sasuke, let me present you with a scenario. What would happen if you encountered a shinobi who was faster and stronger than you? Yes, you can see his movements with the Sharingan, but what if your body isn't strong enough to fend off his attacks? You can now reach your limit and better yourself because you don't train physically because you rely too much on your Sharingan. This is also true when you use your family's dojutsu to mimic techniques. To fully master and use the jutsu you copied, you still need to practice it even if you have the schematics down. That's what I meant as a crutch. He raised his hands to signal Sasuke to stop arguing, saying, I'm not done yet. I even think of my ancestry as a support system. How do you think I'll get better if I rely on it too much? If my body isn't capable of handling my bloodline, how can I use it effectively? I meant to say that if you overuse your bloodline, it will eventually become a barrier that will undoubtedly impede your development as a shinobi. So, Dobi, what do you recommend? That my Sharingan isn't awakened? That I'd rather not have it? With his rage taking over, Sasuke asked fervently. Sasuke-san, relax. I'm not disparaging you or your ancestry. I simply responded to your question about my opinion. You have to make the decision. It would be in your best interest to awaken your Sharingan. I didn't say you shouldn't. However, even if you do awaken your Sharingan, the only way to become stronger than anyone, mind you, is to train your body and mind to make effective use of it. The three genins followed the voice and saw their sensei, Hitaki Kakashi, leaning against a tree directly to their right, looking as bored and lethargic as usual. He is right, you know. Kakashi arrived an hour ago, but he was happy to listen to the three discuss Naruto's bloodline. He was amazed that Naruto was willing to teach his teammates despite their obvious distaste for him, which only increased his respect for the blonde. He even attempted the chakra manipulation exercise that Naruto had given them, but all he was able to do was bring out his chakra without solidifying it as the exercise was supposed to do. If he couldn't do that with his Junin level skills, he was certain that the two wouldn't be able to understand it. "You're running late," Sakura yelled. He scratched the back of his head, ignoring Sakura's outburst, saying, "Hee, I know Sakura. Anyway, Sasuke, Naruto is correct. You must put in more effort during your training if you wish to get stronger. Using power is perfectly acceptable, but if you want it, you must put in a lot of effort. Similar to weapons and tools, if you don't know how to use your extremely sharp kunai, it won't be of much use to you. In your clan, your brother Uchiha Itachi is one example who was able to outperform everyone. In front of me, don't you dare mention his name." Sasuke jumped up and yelled. Itachi's name made his anger flow out of him in waves. Kakashi simply stared at him, unfazed by the dark-haired Uchiha's murderous intent. "I believe I ought to, Sasuke. To grasp Naruto's point and develop into a formidable Konoha shinobi, you must listen to what I have to say. As you can see, Itachi and Naruto share the same bloodline theory. For a shinobi, it can either be a benefit or a hindrance. Why, in your opinion, did Itachi grow up to be the strongest member of your clan at such a young age? It had nothing to do with the Sharingan or his prodigy status. He actually admitted to me during our time together at ANBU that he did not depend on the Sharingan for his training. He continued to improve his physical and mental strength while training without it. Did you know that he only used the Sharingan as a last resort or to obtain an advantage over more formidable foes? Kakashi-sensei. How could you give him that kind of praise? Did he kill his whole family?" Sakura yelled. "I am acquainted with Sakura, but it is undeniable that Uchiha Itachi is the most formidable member of his generation." He looked at Sasuke and said, "Sasuke is the same way. I respect him as a strong shinobi, but I don't condone his acts of murdering his clan. If he only puts in the necessary effort and follows the correct path, he can become the strongest, even stronger than Itachi." He smiled at them and beckoned them all to follow him. After leading them to the training logs in a particular area of the field, Kakashi placed 3 boxes of bento lunches and an alarm clock on a stump before turning to face his team and saying, "All right, guys. We will now begin your test to determine your eligibility to become a genin of Konoha. I want each of you to take one of these bells so that you can pass. When the alarm goes off, the test is over." He pointed to the clock he had set on the stump and rang 2 bells. When Sakura pointed out that there were only 2 bells and 3 of them, all 3 genins noticed. "But sensei, there are only 2 bells," she said. "Does this imply that we can only pass in pairs?" "That's right, Sakura," Kakashi grinned. "The person who didn't receive the bell will return to the academy for another year, and only 2 of you will be able to pass." "Yet that is unfair," the girl with the pink hair grumbled. "Sakura, who said life is fair?" Kakashi countered. When Kakashi went on, Naruto was distracted from his thoughts and said, "There's something wrong with this exam and I can't put my finger on it." He decided to put the exam on hold for the time being and see what happens later. "So, do you have any questions?" "No." "Excellent. I want everyone to give it their all for me. Like a shinobi facing an enemy, I want you to approach me with the intention of killing. When I say, go, the test will begin. So, go." After saying that, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke hurried to the tree's cover and concealed themselves, waiting for the right opportunity to attack. They did a good job of hiding. Kakashi thought, "Not really as good as I thought, but good enough for genins fresh out of the academy, I suppose." He was startled out of his reverie when he felt a presence behind him and turned to see Naruto standing there, his face bewildered. Naruto calmly remarked, "You know, there is something wrong with what you said earlier." "Oh, can you tell? Could he have figured it out already?" Kakashi asked, grinning at the blonde genin. He added in his mind, "I can't put my finger on it, but I sense that there is some trick to this test." "How perceptive of you, will you tell me?" No, well, if that is the case then I'll just have to force it out of you," said Naruto. His taijutsu stance was established, and he lunged at Kakashi with great speed, covering the distance in a second before launching a clawed swipe towards his sensei's chest, which Kakashi saw clearly and stepped back to avoid. Naruto didn't let up, and he aimed a well-placed kick that would have easily broken Kakashi's ribs if it hit, but Kakashi was able to block it with ease with an arm. "You're good, Naruto, but not good enough," Kakashi taunted. When his taijutsu attack failed, Naruto disengaged and leapt back a few feet from his opponent, stretching his right arm while 3 kunais slid out of his sleeve onto his hand. He threw the kunais at Kakashi, who blocked it with his own, but stopped when he heard a sizzling sound below him and noticed that the kunais Naruto threw at him had an explosive tag attached, and it was smoking. Before the tag exploded, he gave Naruto a quick shunshin behind him and swore, "Shit." With a loud clang, metal and solid chakra met as Kakashi emerged behind Naruto and charged at him with a kunai. Naruto sensed his approach and instantly reacted by forming a chakra blade on his right hand and blocking Kakashi's swing. Damn. It's a sturdy thing. I guess he wasn't kidding when he said that his bloodline can turn his chakra into something solid, Kakashi reflected. In an attempt to land a strategic blow to weaken his opponent, Naruto grunted and pushed Kakashi back before launching a horizontal swipe at his stomach, which the Junin managed to avoid by backflipping out of range. Naruto didn't let up and rushed forward, continuing to throw a flurry of thrusts and swings. But Kakashi either sidestepped by swerving his body or blocked the attacks with his kunai. He's strong, Naruto thought as he massaged his stinging chest. Unfortunately, Naruto overextended one of his thrusts, which threw him off balance. Kakashi took advantage of this by delivering a well-aimed kick to his chest with enough force to throw him back a couple of feet. Naruto managed to right himself and landed on the ground on a crouch, with one hand clutching his chest in pain and the chakra blade already gone. "Naruto, you're not good enough." Kakashi gave him a slack smile and taunted, "You have to do better than that." Naruto yelled, "I'm not done yet, Kakashi-sensei." He straightened his posture, extended both hands, and produced 2 chakra blades, one in each hand. Glorious Kami. He's capable of producing 2. He shouldn't, for heaven's sake, be a genin. Given the strength he is exhibiting, he ought to be a chunin, yelled Kakashi in shock. When Kakashi saw his opportunity, he used his left blade to swing a low horizontal slash while Kakashi's kunai was busy fending off the other. Kakashi's eyes widened slightly as he lunged forward towards his opponent, raising an overhand swing with his right blade that Kakashi easily blocked with his kunai. Kakashi poofed into a log with a clean cut in the middle before Naruto could congratulate himself on landing a hit. Damn, he substituted himself. Naruto yelled in his head, he could be anywhere. Where did he go now? He scanned the field in an attempt to determine where his errant sensei might be hiding. Kakashi jumped out of the ground in front of him and grinned at him, saying, "You are underestimating me, Naruto." He was taken by surprise when 2 hands suddenly appeared from the ground below him and grabbed his ankles, yanking him hard into the ground until only his head was left protruding. "You're decent, but not very good." With a sly smile, Naruto activated his Kamigen, and his elemental orbs instantly appeared on top of him. The fire orb threw a stream of red-hot flames at Kakashi, but Kakashi managed to dodge it by jumping to the right. Seeing his opportunity, Naruto used his control over the earth orb to loosen the earth around him, allowing him to jump out with ease. "It's not over yet, Kakashi-sensei." He deactivated his Kamigen and threw a shuriken at Kakashi, sealing his hands as it flew. Shuriken Shadow Clone is ninja art. When the lone shuriken turned into 50 and was coming directly at him, Kakashi's eyes widened even more. With no other choice, he sealed his own hands a couple of times before spitting out a torrent of mud that solidified into a thick wall of earth. Mud wall in the earth-style Kakashi was easily protected from the swarm of shuriken by his technique, but Naruto saw his opportunity while Kakashi was momentarily blinded by the wall he had built, so he willed out his chakra blades once more and ran forward, channeling some chakra to his feet and climbing the height of Kakashi's wall before jumping off, which put him in a perfect attack position from above. He yelled loudly and swung his blades down hard, intending to incapacitate his sensei and retrieve a bell. When Kakashi heard the shout from above, his eyes widened once more and he saw that Naruto was about to slash him with a 2-sword. He quickly pulled 2 kunais out of his pouch and channeled some chakra into them before he was able to block the attack, which was powerful enough to cause a small shockwave that dispersed the dust surrounding the 2 fighters. He didn't want to be outdone, so he channeled chakra to his muscles and skillfully pushed the blonde genin off him and threw him into the air. He leaned down with one hand on the ground and hit Naruto in the chest with a vertical upward kick that caught him off guard when Naruto burst into smoke. It was a shadow clone, damn it. He could be anywhere, Kakashi thought, scanning the field and bracing himself for an attack. When none materialized, he made the decision to pursue the remaining members of Team 7 and eliminate them before they could surprise him. Good thing I made some clones beforehand, Naruto thought, flinching at the memory of the kick. I guess I made him go all out there. Naruto was watching the battle between Kakashi and his clone on the field below, having earlier replaced himself with his clone after being kicked by Kakashi early in their battle. He was instantly alerted when he saw Kakashi run into the trees. Apparently, his attack prompted Kakashi to kill them one by one. If that is the case, then there is undoubtedly a reason for this test, and he was still unable to figure it out. He closed his eyes and sent a chakra pulse along the training field, deciding to consider it later. The technique, known as chakra sonar, was taught to him by Kyuubi during his one-year training prior to the academy. Kyuubi needed this technique because his enemies were as small as ants, so using a chakra pulse to search the battlefield and return a few pulses to inform him of their position was a good tactic against numerous enemies. Sakura was a few hundred meters to Naruto's left, according to a pulse he received from his chakra sonar. Ironically, Sasuke was also in the same area, but based on the pulse, it appears that Sasuke concealed his presence from Sakura. He shook his head and then went to Sakura's location. When her sensei gave the signal, Sakura immediately hid herself. Her original plan was to accompany Sasuke and talk to him about taking the bells, leaving Naruto in the dust, but her plan fell through when her idol vanished and she had no idea where to look. She hid behind the bush and looked out into the clearing to see Naruto getting ready to fight Kakashi. Baka. She reasoned that he wouldn't have a chance. She was aware that his teammate was talented, but what she witnessed during the battle left her speechless. How can he fight Kakashi-sensei with such skills? She asked, correcting her initial assumption about the blonde's defeat. She asked herself, unable to believe that Naruto was hiding such strength even during the academy. I bet Sasuke is better. Her jaw dropped even more when she saw that the shuriken Naruto threw multiplied, forcing Kakashi to defend himself with ninjutsu. Kakashi ran up the wall he had built, nearly hitting their sensei with an overhand strike. Her sensei's ability to perform an acrobatic kick that struck the blonde in midair made her feel smug, but she was shocked when Naruto vanished in smoke. All she could think about was how Naruto could execute those techniques with such ease. She was startled out of her reverie when Kakashi appeared next to her and grinned at her, saying, "Yo Sakura." When her vision cleared, she saw Sasuke's bleeding form in front of her, his eyes wide and unseeing. He was dead. She did the only thing her logical mind could manage, screamed and then fainted. "Found you," he said cheerfully before vanishing in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke was furious, indeed, he was furious, at what he saw down in the clearing. Naruto was fending off a Junin with a level of ease that he had practiced, but what really infuriated him was that the blonde was using a series of powers that he was unaware of. I should have it. In order to defeat Itachi, I need it. As he watched Kakashi move into the trees and Naruto vanish in a puff of smoke, he realized that it wasn't time to attack and that he should wait for the right moment. Sakura's scream from behind him startled him out of his reverie. I suppose Kakashi got to her. Fangirl with no use. He refocused his senses after the scream subsided, and he saw Kakashi emerge from the trees with a smug expression on his face. The Junin walked to the center of the field, pulled an orange book out of his pocket, and relaxed, realizing that this was his chance. Pulling out 8 kunais, 4 in each hand, Sasuke threw them towards his sensei from his position, thinking, now's my chance while he has his guard down. He was thrilled when his attack succeeded, but shocked when Kakashi vanished in a puff of smoke and was replaced by a log. Shit, he knows my position now. He was correct when Kakashi sprang up on top of him and grinned his trademark eye. Hello Sasuke. Fuck it. Sasuke cursed, scurried out of his position as quickly as he could, and made his way directly to the clearing in the middle of the training ground, where he found Kakashi waiting for him, reading his orange book while leaning in one of the training logs. That wasn't a well-considered plan, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke became enraged when Kakashi taunted him in a slack voice. You gave away your position to me quite easily. Seeing no other option, Sasuke threw a kunai at his sensei in the hopes of distracting him while rushing forward behind the projectile to engage him in a taijutsu attack. Kakashi saw the attack and easily dodged it by tilting his head to the side, allowing the projectile to pass harmlessly without stopping his reading. Sasuke then lashed out with a punch, but Kakashi blocked it with his free hand, which he moved up to block the kick towards his head. He was taken by the ankle and flung aside, shocking Sasuke, who was furious that his attacks had not even affected the slothful Junin. He straightened his posture, passed through a series of seals, and then puffed out his chest. Grand Fireball Fire style, Sasuke let go of his jutsu and exhaled a massive ball of fire that hurtled in the direction of his sensei. When Kakashi saw the enormous fireball that threatened to burn him to death, his eyes widened. Shit. What are these children? If they can pull tricks like this out of their ass, they shouldn't be genins. As he jumped out of the fireball's trajectory to avoid being barbecued, he complained in his head, they should be chunins for Kami's sake. A flurry of kunais and shurikens came from his left, and he replaced himself with a log that took the hit. Seeing no other option, Kakashi dropped his orange book to the ground and crossed both of his hands in front of his face, effectively blocking the attack. When he brought his hands down, he saw another large fireball headed straight for him, so he hurried back to get away from the blast zone, but something made his blood run cold. Sasuke watched Kakashi replace himself with a log after his projectile attack, then rushed forward at a higher speed and aimed a kick to the face. His book. In an attempt to save his priceless book, he reached out, but a fireball struck it, turning it to ash. Hello, hello, hello. My priceless book. I will avenge you, my precious SSS. He cried in his head as he lifted his head and turned to face Sasuke, his eyes gleaming with resentment. He released the same fireball that Sasuke used to burn his priceless book, only twice as large, after gliding through a series of hand seals as quickly as the eye could follow. Grand Fireball Fire Style. When he saw Kakashi go through a familiar hand seal and release a fireball larger than himself, Sasuke froze, but the killer intent that Kakashi had previously released rooted him to the spot, and he raised his hands as if hoping that they would shield him from the attack. Kakashi leveled him with an intense glare that sent shivers down Sasuke's spine. When he dropped his hands, he saw Naruto in front of him with his elemental orbs spinning around him. Luckily, the attack didn't reach him because a wall of water appeared in front of him, taking the force of the fiery projectile and snuffing it out while releasing steam. Get over it, Sasuke. We must reorganize. With his gaze fixed on Kakashi's enraged form, Naruto snapped, what in the world did you do to him to get him so mad? The blonde inquired. Stop talking, Dobi. Shaking off the fear that had gripped him earlier, Sasuke grunted, I don't need your help. Although he wouldn't say it aloud, he was grateful for the blonde's assistance in keeping him from being barbecued to a crisp. Well, from what happened to you just now I think you definitely needed my help unless you want to become a burnt piece of meat of course, laughed Naruto. Dobi, get out of here. I'll look after him by myself. Pay attention, Sasuke, we can't possibly take him one by one, no matter what we do. There's a reason he's a Junin. We must reorganize and devise a plan. We must leave immediately because I have already saved Sakura. Naruto yelled the final line to attract Sasuke's attention and demanded it. Naruto caught Sasuke by the shoulder and teleported them out of the clearing in a flash of flame, leaving Kakashi to lament his lost book. Sasuke was about to say something, but Naruto interrupted him. Sasuke instantly shrugged Naruto's hand off his shoulder and rounded on him when they arrived at the other side of Training Ground 7 in a flash of flame that startled Sakura. Why did you do that? I could go alone with him. Naruto simply looked at him incredulously and said, I saved you back there, in case you forgot. Naruto challenged him, if you want, I can take you back there now and let Kakashi grill you once more. Sakura interrupted Sasuke as he was about to say something, gritting his teeth and closing his mouth with an audible snap. Stop it, you two. He is correct, Sasuke-kun. We cannot defeat Kakashi-sensei by ourselves. Now is not the moment to argue. Sakura recoiled from Sasuke's glare as he rounded on her, asking, what are you doing here? I was trapped in a genjutsu by Kakashi-sensei, but Naruto saved me and brought me here, Sakura said, looking down, depressed that her crush was treating her like trash. Sakura muttered, he said he will get you so we can come up with a plan to get the bells. Sasuke appeared furious. It is not possible for that to occur. Sasuke said, there are 2 bells and I'm going to get one by myself. He was about to leave the protection of the forest to face their sensei once more when he was stopped by an earthen wall. He was about to jump over the wall, but his feet were covered in dirt, which effectively stopped him in his tracks. He twisted his body to see Naruto with his bloodline active and his elemental orbs spinning around him in a menacing manner. It was a chilling sight, especially the stern glare that Naruto was leveling at him. Sasuke, stop right there. Sakura and I have already solved the test. Naruto growled, if you want to pass, you better get that stick out of your ass and listen. Sasuke's conceit was not going to cause him to fail this test. He was going to convince the Uchiha to see reason no matter what, even if it meant dragging him to the ground. Sasuke swallowed his pride, for the time being, and nodded. He was shocked because Naruto had never taken that tone with him before, and the threat was obvious. The gentle Naruto vanished, leaving behind a strong figure that demanded his attention. Even his Kamagen was a frightening sight. When Naruto noticed Sasuke's sudden change in attitude, he unbound the earthly bonds and began to talk, saying, good. I now understand what Kakashi's test really meant. Sakura, who has yet to recover from the shout and glare that Sasuke directed at her, stammered, but Kakashi said the only way to pass is for us to get the bells. This was a different Sasuke, not the one she admired from the academy, and she had never seen him this enraged before. It was an experience that rocked her to her core. Naruto nodded as Sasuke added his thoughts, saying, "She's right, Dobi, and with only 2 bells, there is no way for 3 of us to pass." "That's right, but Iruka taught you both 2 things back at the academy that you both forgot. First of all, the village has always consisted of a 4-person cell consisting of 1 Junin sensei and 3 genins. Secondly, you both failed to remember that shinobi are notoriously cunning." "All right," Sasuke said, irritated. "Kakashi sensei lied, then. The test is reflected in everything he told us. In order to weaken our mental strength through hunger, he first ordered us not to eat breakfast. 2. There are just 2 bells, and he is trying to incite conflict among us by forcing us to compete for them. Try contrasting that with what we learned from Iruka at the academy. Either Kakashi is lying to get us to fail his test, or Iruka lied to a group of prospective Konoha genins. Choose wisely," Naruto said. Sakura and Sasuke were both taken aback by the deceit in a straightforward test, and they cannot dispute that the blonde was correct in every way. If this is the case, then this implies that we must cooperate as a team in order to pass. "Correct?" Sakura inquired. "That's right, if he wants to abide by the rules, he will have to pass all 3 of us even if we receive the 2 bells. Furthermore, if my recollection is correct, he cannot disobey a village law regarding these matters." "Now what?" Wanting to get this show on the road, Sasuke asked. Although he would never acknowledge it, he was never a strategist. Despite being a prodigy, he prefers to charge head-on and fight simply. "This is what we are going to do," Naruto said, giving the 2 a menacing grin that terrified his teammates to death. Sitting on one of the logs in the clearing, Kakashi read his orange book while waiting for his genin team to attack him. Since Sasuke had destroyed the one he had brought, he had to make a quick stop at one of the village bookstores to get another copy because he hadn't finished reading his precious yet. He was still upset with the Uchiha for destroying his old precious, and he would pay. Yes, he would pay. He let out a mental cackle that would easily rival Kyuubi's. When Sasuke and Naruto emerged from the bushes and headed directly for him, he was jolted out of his mental tirade and said, "It seems that they are getting the point of the whole test." After Sasuke emerged from the bushes, Naruto followed him with his Kamagen activated. Their strategy was straightforward. They would use direct attacks from Sasuke and an elemental barrage from Naruto to overwhelm Kakashi and, if at all possible, shield him from Kakashi's jutsus. Sakura would either wait to attack or take advantage of a distracted Kakashi to steal the bells. Following Naruto's advice while they were formulating their plan, he channeled chakra to his legs and sped off with a sudden burst of speed that startled Kakashi. He then struck out with a chakra-enhanced punch that the Junin blocked. When the blow struck Kakashi's arm, he winced and said, "Shit, his attacks are stronger. How on earth did that occur?" It appears that Naruto's advice was effective because Sasuke grinned when he saw Kakashi wince from the attack. The Dobi was right. Though he would never acknowledge it, Naruto was knowledgeable about chakra, and he made a mental note to demand. Ask the Dobi in the future." Using his advantage, Sasuke continued to unleash a flurry of punches and kicks, this time inflicting damage on Kakashi to divert his attention. Apparently Kakashi had learned his lesson, because now, instead of blocking, he was desperately dodging Sasuke's chakra-enhanced punches. Who could blame him? Those hurt. When he saw the determined expression in Sasuke's eyes, Kakashi used his own chakra-enhanced kick to throw the dark-haired boy away from him. If he kept dodging, one might get through, and even if he blocked it, it would be bad for his health. Realizing that it was time to remove the child's glove, he went through a few seals and let loose his attacks. Air bullet wind style, a wall of earth appeared to shoot out in front of the ground in front of the crouching Uchiha, effectively protecting him from the attack. But Kakashi missed the smirk that crossed Sasuke's face as 3 compressed balls of air flew from his mouth and headed directly towards Sasuke. It wasn't very strong, but it had enough chakra to knock him out. When their sensei unleashed his wind attack on Sasuke, Naruto was prepared. Pushing his advantage, he fired a medium-powered water bullet from his water orb that flew towards the Junin. A wall of earth erupted in front of Sasuke, blocking the wind attack's path. Their teamwork was perfect and easily kept Kakashi on his toes, and he dodged the water projectile and cursed his situation. He was wondering where Sakura was in his role in the team when he saw Sasuke jump over the wall Naruto had built and land a powerful axe kick aimed at his head. He blocked it by crossing his hands over his head, but the force of the chakra-enhanced kick and the gravity involved made his knees tremble. Damn, these kids aren't playing around, he thought, but his thoughts were interrupted when a smirking Naruto struck him in the stomach, a ball of compressed air that resembled his own attack. Naruto chose to move on to the next stage of the plan after realizing their advantage. Now Sasuke. He called out to his teammate, and Sasuke nodded before launching his attack through a well-known set of seals. Grand Fireball Fire Style. When the attack came to pass, Naruto let go of his own ball of wind and aimed it at Sasuke's fireball. Rather than destroying it, the wind ball and fireball conjured up a roaring conflagration of superheated flames that headed in the direction of a startled Kakashi. Glorious Kami. Their attacks were coordinated. Easily S rank now, that fireball. These kids aren't normal, damn it. He teleported out of the way just before the fireball struck the ground he was standing on, causing a massive shockwave that rocked the trees in the training ground, and everyone felt the intense heat that came from it. Surrender now, Naruto. Kakashi commanded, mentally ranting, SHT. I have to disable Naruto now and take care of Sasuke afterwards. Since he was standing behind Kakashi, he grinned when he heard his order to surrender. I don't think so, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said in a light-hearted tone before poofing his way out of existence. Dude, when he heard something that made his skin crawl, he swore and looked down to see that the ground was covered in dozens of exploding tags. Double shit, he shunshined once more before the tags exploded, scattering dust all over the place. Sakura emerged from the bushes behind him and slashed at Kakashi's waist with her kunai, easily cutting off the bells from his belt and running away to her teammates. Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto were all grinning broadly at him, except for Sasuke, who just gave him a smug grin. Kakashi appeared a few feet away behind Sasuke, unable to move, and about to perform another jutsu when he noticed that his legs and feet were covered in rocks that easily locked him in place. With a sigh, Kakashi looked at his team and grinned, saying, Okay, you got me. Jennins, the rookie, outwitted him. This won't look good on his resume. You've already received the bell, so the test is over. Sasuke, Naruto, let me go so we can continue, Kakashi said. Naruto made a wind blade to cut the wires off and willed the rocks on Kakashi's legs to fall back to the ground. So, Kakashi-sensei, what's the verdict? With a smile that would not go away, Naruto asked. Well, the bells went to Sakura. So, Sakura, would you rather pass Naruto or Sasuke? This team has a lot of potential, and they wouldn't want to be failed on a technicality. So Kakashi asked to see if they truly understood the purpose of the test. Sakura simply smiled and threw two bells, one to Sasuke and one to Naruto, both of whom were easily caught. I will give them the bell, sensei, so they can pass. Are you certain? Kakashi was nudged. Yes, sir. I'm sure, Sakura insisted, her grin remaining fixed on her face. With a sigh, Kakashi turned to face his new squad and said, Okay then. This means, you pass. 3 days have passed since they passed Kakashi's test and were selected as Konohagakure no Sato's new Team 7. To put it mildly, Naruto was happy, but things weren't going as planned. First of all, their brief collaboration during the test was now only a memory. Sakura was beginning to admire him, even though she still focused most of her attention on Sasuke. However, Naruto was depressed because everything he ever did to cheer Sasuke up ended up in the trash can. Sasuke has been enamored with learning everything Naruto knows ever since he taught him the chakra trick. The young Uchiha was unfazed by the clan techniques. Alibi. He actually keeps bugging him, saying that since he was an elite Uchiha, he ought to be delighted to teach him every technique. At that point, Naruto's control over his temper relaxed, and Sasuke learned the hard way not to push when it's not appropriate to do so. Being blown away by a powerful wind technique and falling body first into the river was something he hoped would teach him a lesson. The key word is hope. But he was shocked that Sakura didn't yell at him while she was doing that to her beloved Sasuke-kun. That was a significant improvement for her. Even though it was a tiny step, it was still a step in the right direction. Kakashi gave them a quick teamwork lecture after the test. He led them to the memorial stone and described its meaning. Teamwork appears to have been the core of their sensei's motto. Those who abandon their mission are trash, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than any trash. As it turned out, Naruto liked the belief and vowed to stick with it until the end of his life. Additionally, Kakashi gave them a quick talk about their advantages and disadvantages. He began by discussing Sakura's propensity for fandom and how it would be harmful to her health if she persisted. Naruto could see that it had some effect on her, particularly when she recalled what Sasuke had done to her in Training Ground 7. But it appears that her love for the dark-haired Avenger was too great. He estimated that a life-altering event would be necessary to remove that thought from her mind. At first, Sasuke's evaluation proceeded without incident. Because of his training in clan techniques, Kakashi informed him that his primary strengths were taijutsu and ninjutsu. He added that he would get into trouble because his short-sightedness and anger are unsuitable for a ninja. To get better, he suggested that he study strategy. However, when Kakashi brought up Itachi once more during the assessment, everything went completely wrong. A word of advice. If you want Sasuke to cooperate, never, ever bring up Itachi in his line of sight. Sasuke returned to his typical brooding self only after their sensei delivered a right hook and a blast of killer intent. However, Kakashi's assessment of him was largely simplistic. Since Naruto's Kamagen and elemental orbs could be used for both attack and defense, he noted that he wouldn't require any jutsu. Since there are other shinobi out there who could easily defeat him in that category alone, the only advice he offered for which Naruto was grateful was to increase his general strength and speed. When they fought, Naruto contemplated whether or not to inform Kakashi that he was wearing weight. Additionally, he assured Naruto that he would allow him to meet some of his friends who are renowned masters of Kenjutsu. The blonde genin giddy with anticipation at the thought. Kakashi proudly declared them the new Team 7 at the conclusion of the evaluation, and they are scheduled to reconvene for mission and training in 3 days. Sakura inquired as to the reason for the pause, and Kakashi replied that he would use the time off to create training manuals for each of them. Suspicious of the motive, Naruto assumed that Kakashi merely wanted to spend some time by himself with his book. Time skip. 3 days post-genin test pass, Naruto got up early to go to Training Ground 7 and meet the rest of the team. He wants to arrive early so he can finish some of his training routine, even though the scheduled meeting is still 3 hours away. He didn't want to take it easy, especially since missions are coming up and he needs to get better. He warmed up with a leisurely jog towards the training ground after eating a substantial breakfast prepared by his clone. When he arrived, he noticed that he was by himself, so he performed push-ups and sit-ups in addition to running some laps around the training area. He started talking to his tenant while he was going about his daily business. He yelled in his head, "Hey Kyuubi, you awake?" A deep, drowsy growl reverberated through his mind's hallways. "Shut up. Why do you have to be so loud so early in the morning? Someone's trying to sleep here, you know." Kyuubi sighed. Even though he saw that the fox wasn't a morning person, Naruto continued to irritate him by doing the same thing every day. Naruto said, "Sorry about that, Kyuubi. Just wanted to ask you something," without seeming particularly sorry. Kyuubi snarled, "You were going to ask me if you can up your weights, right?" Naruto had a vision of the fox using his tongue to clean himself. Naruto trembled at the sight. "How did you know?" "Duh, I'm in your head, dummy. You've been thinking about that for 3 days now, so of course I know about it. And the answer to your question is no, I want you to maintain that weight for 2 more months so you won't be short for life." Naruto was offended by this. Naruto yelled, "Hey, I'm not short," indignant at the idea of being called short. "Stop shouting, you imbecile," Kyuubi snarled in a threatening tone. Naruto muttered, "Sorry, still, I'm not short." Kyuubi simply rolled his eyes at how sensitive his container was to his height. Kyuubi then severed the mental connection with his container and said, "Okay, but my order still stands. No increasing your weight for the next 2 months. Remind me again after, then we will talk about it." As he went about his morning workout, Naruto complained about stingy foxes. Naruto got up after the final set and shook his body a little to relax his muscles before he summoned Kazuhime. He has been using his chakra blades to practice his two-sword technique instead of his prized sword. With a tiny puff of smoke, the sword materialized in his hands as he directed some chakra toward his tiger tattoo. He used both hands to hold the sword and entered his clan's Kenjutsu Kata, changing forms like water. Kazuhime gave a humming nod. After an hour, he made the decision to cease his Kenjutsu practice and put Kazuhime back to his tattoo, but he gave it a little more chakra and called out his favorite training partners. 3 medium-sized tigers that were about Kazutora's height materialized in front of him after a puff of smoke. Naruto's favorite training method was the 3 tigers. Naruto used these 3 to hone his reaction time and dodging speed because they were well known in their clan for working well together. Who wouldn't want to avoid these tigers' razor-sharp claws? After all, the description alone is enough to make Naruto want to run for his life because big paws equate to big claws. In front of him, Naruto greeted the 3 majestic summons. "Hi guys, ready for some training?" The 3 of them returned the greeting in perfect unison, ready as always, Naruto-sama. According to Naruto, their renowned teamwork includes their speech as well. Naruto gave an eye roll. He has been urging these 3 to take the "sama" out of their greeting ever since he met them, but they have refused to change. But he refused to give up. Naruto asked angrily, How many times have I told you guys not to do that? Naruto found it suspicious when one of the tigers, the only female in the group, simply cocked her head to the right and gave him an overly innocent look. He was met with a grin full of fangs from the other two tigers. Not to do what, Naruto-sama? Naruto simply quit. He raised his hands in the air and mockingly glared at the naive-looking tigers. The three summons nodded, then leapt into position around Naruto and launched an attack. You know what, never mind. Can we start training now? They asked. The unexpected attack took Naruto by surprise, but he quickly regained his bearings and began to dodge. He ducked, jumped, rolled, and swerved to avoid each tiger's claws and fangs. But he barely avoided some of them, tearing pieces of his robe in the process. Even though he was certain they wouldn't kill him, they agreed to at least slightly injure him as a bonus. While enjoying their romp, Naruto and the three summons he named the training tigers became tense and on guard for a potential attack after hearing a loud scream. Sakura was staring at them with a pale expression as they turned to face the direction of the scream. Sakura yelled, "Naruto baka! Get away from them! They are going to eat you!" as she slowly withdrew a kunai to defend herself in case they attacked. The female tiger simply snorted and gave her a disbelieving glance. "Please, I have better taste, you know." "Hey!" yelled a furious Naruto. Naturally, he didn't want to be eaten, but the blonde genin didn't like the notion that he tasted bad. When Naruto gave them a withering glare, the two male tigers who were snickering chose to stop talking and gave him a naive look, but you could still see the laughter dancing in their eyes despite the blatantly fake front. Sakura was staring at the talking tiger with wide eyes. It appeared that she was on the verge of fainting or running away. Naruto inquired, Sakura, are you okay?" with concern. Sakura simply gave him a disbelieving glance. "You're asking me if I'm okay? I should be asking you if you're okay. You're being attacked by three huge tigers?" Defended Naruto by saying, Sakura, I'm not being attacked." Given that his robe appears to have been worn in a combat zone, his defense was a little off. The training tigers simply listened to the discussion with a chuckle. Sakura was on the verge of exploding when Naruto covered her mouth with his hand to silence her. He jerked his hand over to the tigers behind him to demonstrate his point. "Calm down, okay? Let me explain. Use your head for once. If they were dangerous, then do you think that they should have attacked us by now?" he said. Sakura, a skeptic, pointed out the condition of his clothing and questioned, "If they are not attacking you, then what were they doing making you look like that? You don't see three enormous tigers nearly mauling your teammates every day." She couldn't think of another reason for them to have done what they had just done if he wasn't being attacked. "Training Sakura, training. Those three are my friends. I called them my training tigers. Of course, they are tiger summons," Naruto told her. "Wait, I thought you already have those bird thingies as summons," replied Sakura. When the legendary Phoenix clan was referred to as bird thingies, the tiger laughed. Naruto angrily declared, "Hikari is a phoenix from the Phoenix clan. She isn't a bird thingy." He turned away from an incredulous Sakura and faced the three snickering summons. "Well, they're birds, but it is not polite to call them bird thingies. And to answer your question, yes, they are also my summons. Actually, I have three," he said. He glared at them. The tigers bowed and let out another round of snickers before heading back to their realm. "Okay, that's enough for today, guys. I'll call you next time for another round of dodge training. Thank you." When he turned to face Sakura again, he noticed that she had somewhat calmed down after the tigers had left. "So, why are you here? It's still an hour early before we are supposed to meet our sensei." Sakura looked down in embarrassment. "I was kinda hoping to come early to ask you something." Naruto looked at her inquisitively. Sakura arrived early to ask him a question. He now had to hear this. In order to repair it when he got home, he removed his ripped robe and sealed it on the storage seal on his left arm. As Naruto collapsed on the grass, he asked, "So, what do you want to talk to me about?" As Sakura collapsed in front of Naruto, who merely gave her a long, calculating glance, she muttered, I was wondering if you can help me to get strong." Sakura woke up a little as Naruto trailed off, I can help you, but you have to tell me why you want to be strong." Sakura muttered, I want to be strong so that Sasuke-kun would notice me." When she responded, Naruto shook his head. Naruto sighed and said, "No, Sakura. I won't help you if that is your goal." Sakura, who was on the verge of tears, asked, "Why? You're strong and the advice you gave us during the test helped us out. Why won't you help your teammates?" Naruto simply looked at her calmly. "Because Sakura, your motivation to become strong is not what a kunoichi should be thinking. In fact, your motivation will only pull you down in the end. I can guarantee it. I will help you only if you can tell me a good reason for me to do so. I will also tell Sasuke the same thing if he asked me for help. He got up and wiped his pants. He left a tearful Sakura in his wake before vanishing in a flash of flame, saying, "Think about it, Sakura. I'll leave you for now, I'll be back in time for our meeting." When Naruto got to the meeting on time, he saw that everyone but Kakashi was present. He met a fawning Sakura and a sullen Sasuke. He gave a headshake. His counsel to her apparently went unheeded. When Kakashi arrived an hour later, Sakura yelled at him once more for being late, but he was easily ignored. He threw a scroll to each member of the team and gestured for them to approach. Before they set out on missions, he informed them that each of those scrolls contained their daily training schedule. Naruto was not impressed by what he saw when he opened his scroll. He already wore the weights that were required of him. While completing laps around the training field, the assigned weights were a pitiful 20 pounds on both hands and ankles. He was unaware of the others' training schedule, but it didn't matter to him. After informing Kakashi that he would handle the weights tomorrow, he carried out the exercises listed on the scroll, which included push-ups, sit-ups, running laps, and the standard. Training was halted by Kakashi, who instructed everyone to report to the Hokage Tower for missions. Skipping time. 2 months later. Naruto was quickly growing weary of his team. Although Team 7 has a lot of potential, he would need to take drastic measures if the current team spirit doesn't improve quickly. Despite Kakashi's encouragement, Sasuke refused to take part in team exercises because he was still as antisocial as ever. Well, Sakura was Sakura. It was clear that she had already forgotten their conversation from a month ago and was still infatuated with the Uchiha. His biggest irritant was their Junin sensei, Hatake Kakashi. It appears that his advocacy for equality and giving the team priority is just that, preaching. He was clearly giving the elite Uchiha all of his attention during the team's training session. While Kakashi and Sasuke relocated to the woods for their training session, he and Sakura were left alone during their exercise. To keep an eye on them, Naruto called forth one of the tiniest phoenixes available, and the report he received was not humorous. It appears that Kakashi was teaching Sasuke different forms of taijutsu and ninjutsu than either Sakura or himself. The obvious favoritism that Kakashi was displaying within their team was annoying. Since he had always been independent with the resources at home, he wasn't particularly worried about his own training schedule, but it wasn't right that he was abandoning Sakura to her own devices without any counsel or direction. After that, his regard for their sensei declined significantly. Furthermore, he didn't find the missions particularly impressive. In fact, even if it meant his life, he wouldn't refer to them as missions. They were more akin to household tasks than anything. He was aware from the academy days that D-rank missions were merely village chores, but understanding and carrying them out are two different things. Capturing Tora, the daimyo's cat, was his dreaded mission. 3 times a week, they are tasked with catching the damn cat. For the first week, it was all right, but after a month of doing the same thing repeatedly, his patience was wearing thin. During those missions, he nearly caved into Kyuubi's suggestion to roast the damn cat. In order to put an end to this, he ought to have barbecued that evil cat. Speaking of training, he cleverly used shadow clones to discard Kakashi's morning training routine. When Kakashi left them to their own devices, he would go meet his team and wait. For real, training, he would teleport back to his home after creating a shadow clone in the woods and giving him the scroll that Kakashi had given him. He did a lot of things by himself. To begin with, by progressing to trap seals, he was able to enhance his fuinjutsu studies. He created 2 kinds of trap seals that, when chakra is pumped into them, store projectiles and release them. He created 2 types. One that fires in a single direction, which is undoubtedly helpful when confronting an adversary, and the other that operates on the principle that actual traps fire kunais or shurikens in various directions until they run out. He used 3 summons for training as well. Using his summons of tigers, dragons, and phoenix, he was able to devise a variety of attacks and tactics. His tiger summons would be used for both ambushes and direct assaults. Dragons are used in situations requiring mass damage and overkill. In addition to being helpful for transportation, his phoenix summon is utilized for defense and aerial attacks. He was also making good progress in his kenjutsu training. After 2 weeks of waiting for Kakashi to introduce him to the masters he was referring to, he approached the Hokage to inquire about potential kenjutsu sparring partners. He was introduced right away to Gecko Hayate, who consented to spend 2 hours teaching and sparring with Naruto before dinner. Because of his illness, he was allowed to take a break from his village responsibilities so that he could spend more time with Naruto. Naruto's single and double sword skills are currently at an intermediate level after a month and a half of training and sparring, but there is still much space for development. He met his girlfriend, Azuki Yugo, while he was with Hayate, and when he showed her Kazeheim, she was swooning. Her inclusion in the group gave Naruto experience fighting two opponents with swords simultaneously. He always ended up with numerous cuts and bruises from his sessions with them, but the experience they gave him made every drop of blood he shed during spars worthwhile. But during his spar with the Kenjutsu mistress, he took away one crucial lesson. Don't ever tell her she's overweight. The subsequent beating sent chills down his spine. The memory even made Kyuubi squeal a little. Last but not least, he became so proficient at chakra manipulation that he was able to produce weapons from his chakra more quickly. Now that he can create any weapon he wants in less than a second, he can launch a fantastic surprise attack if he uses it correctly. He also enhanced the elemental drill, his final attack. By making each elemental stream a little thinner through compression, he was able to reduce the technique's chakra consumption while increasing their overall power and intensity. This allowed the attack to be focused at a single point rather than dispersing the damage, making it faster and more potent. His attack's ability to effortlessly breach a 20-foot thick earth wall and the trees behind it signaled its success. For another round of D-rank missions, Team 7 went into the Hokage office. The team entered and saw Team 8 with a red-faced Yumino Iruka, a laughing Hokage, and Junin-sensei Yuhi Kurenai. The scene was, to put it mildly, quite humorous. Akamaru, Kiba's partner, was barking and yips in support of his master as a furious Kiba stood in front of a laughing Hokage demanding better missions. Hinata was looking down and twirling her fingers in embarrassment. Kurenai was giving Kiba a look that hinted at a lot of pain down the road, and Shino, well, Shino was still his typical stoic self. That should come as no surprise. When Sarutobi noticed Team 7 entering the room, he raised his hand, essentially cutting Kiba off. Ah, Team 7, what brings you here? Another mission, I presume. According to Kakashi's formal voice, yes, Hokage-sama. Team 7 would like to request a possible C-rank mission since we already reached the quota of D ranks for it. The rest of Team 7 was taken aback. Their sensei was aiming for a C rank, but they were anticipating another dull D rank. In his mind, Naruto complained, I guess Kakashi isn't as useless as I thought. Kyuubi purred, thrilled that his container could leave the village and perhaps even kill something in the process. At least he is good for something, Kit. A dubious Naruto inquired, what got you so excited? Kyuubi uttered the innocent words, oh nothing, nothing at all. In a fleeting glimpse, Naruto saw Kyuubi sitting on his haunches with his 9 tails joyfully wagging behind him and an innocent expression on his face. Naruto was nudged, really? Kyuubi hurriedly answered, yep, really. Before cutting off contact, Naruto turned his focus to the environment. To silence everyone, especially a furious Kiba, Sarutobi coughed. Since both Team 7 and Team 8 are both requesting a C rank, I will be assigning both teams a joint C rank mission. Your mission would be to escort your client, the bridge builder Tazuna, back to Wave and protect him while he is finishing the construction of his bridge. This will be a long-term mission. Kakashi will be taking leadership of both teams seconded by Kurenai since he has seniority over her. The rest of you will follow their orders as befitting your station. He gave the mission scroll to Kakashi who accepted idly. Any questions? None. Good. Iruka, bring the client in please. When Iruka opened the door, she saw an elderly man with a straw hat, loose brown trousers, and a dark green sleeveless shirt. With his glasses and gray beard, his face appears to be that of an average old man wearing a straw hat. Tazuna walked into the Hokage's office and surveyed his designated shinobis. Naruto observed that the elderly man had a faint alcohol odor and was somewhat inebriated. The smell made him wrinkle his nose. What? These are my protection detail. Why bring the kids along? In fact, I don't even think that they are ninjas. Look at that kid, bringing his dog along, or that shy girl. Is that pink-haired brat a ninja? What ninja has pink hair? He looked at the delighted Naruto. When Tazuna noticed Sasuke hunkering in the corner, he added, well, the blonde kid looks decent, I suppose, though the emo kid Threy looks suicidal. The parties who had been insulted were staring at the client with obvious anger. Kiba was about to attack him, but Kurenai stopped him by glancing apologetic at Tazuna. I apologize for my student Tazuna-san, but I assure you, these kids are proud genins of Konoha and have skills that will surely protect you during our journey to your home. Tazuna merely gave a grunt. He told the shinobis in the room, well, I don't care as long as they do a good job. I want all of you to protect me with your life. At the announcement, Naruto arched an eyebrow. Kakashi turned to face the two genin teams after nodding. Okay everyone, we will be leaving in 3 hours. I want you all to go home and pack for a month-long mission just in case. Meet up at the eastern gate in 3 hours. Dismissed. Naruto spoke just as everyone was ready to exit through the door. Naruto gave the Hokage a cheeky smile and said, see you later, Gigi. Before vanishing in a flash of lightning that left everyone in the room speechless. The Hokage merely chuckled at their responses. Tazuna was taken aback. After a lightning strike, Naruto reached his house. In front of his peers and sensei, he was laughing at that amazing demonstration of elemental shunshin. He was aware that would leave a group in disbelief. When they returned from the mission, he ought to ask the Hokage to describe their faces. He shook his head and concentrated on getting himself ready for the task. 10 minutes later, Naruto wore his new battle gear and entered the library armory. It was an improved version of his earlier design. He's wearing a dark gray robe with long sleeves that reach his wrist, black cargo pants, and a black fishnet muscled shirt that definitely accentuates his muscles. He has taken off his kunai and shuriken holsters. He still had the Konoha headband fastened to his left bicep. He wore 2 black fingerless gloves instead of his holsters, which exposed his storage seal on the left and the tiger tattoo on the right. The gloves were open on both palms and the back of his hands. These 2 babies are the latest addition to his arsenal. They were more than just accessories. One of his pet projects involving seals was the gloves. On both gloves, he applied the single direction trap seal to the knuckles. His 500 specially designed mini kunais, which are ideal for high-speed projectiles, were kept in the right glove. The typical shurikens were on the left. The inner portion of the glove was lined with chakra-conductive wires that will enhance his chakra manipulation abilities, and both provide a comfortable grip for wielding a sword. He also added a seal to the inside of both gloves, which uses his bloodline to automatically create a large chakra shield of his own design. When both gloves are put together, the individual seals will combine to create a single, strong seal that will automatically form a 10-foot diameter chakra dome with him at its center. His chakra control is just as strong as the shield. He can maintain the shield for 5 minutes at his current level before faltering. For immediate protection, each glove can be used separately to form a 2-foot circular shield on top of it. Although it wasn't as good as his Kamagen defense, it's better safe than sorry, particularly when he's low on chakra. Given how much of his chakra can be depleted by an activated Kamagen, he developed this backup defense plan. He can keep his Kamagen fully functional and active for up to 2 hours at most. He put the paper versions of both trap seals in the inner pocket of his robe and kept the standard mission rations and a few reload kunais and shurikens on his storage seals. In short, he was dangerous and armed. He went down to the kitchen to make himself a light lunch and relax after realizing he still had 2 hours before meeting the teams. He touched the mantle above the fireplace to activate the house's protection when it was time to leave. Despite the outer defense his father left behind, he wants to make sure his clan house is safe because he will be gone for an unknown amount of time. Time skip. After 3 hours, Naruto met his team at the Western Gate precisely on schedule. Unintentionally, he shocked his team when he showed up with his new lighting shunshin. He noticed that everyone, even the invariably witty Hatake Kakashi, was present. But when he showed up, the women in the group were experiencing a different kind of shock. Hinata watched Naruto make a grand entrance, but when she saw his toned abs and chest, she flushed. She was struggling to decide whether to faint or stop bleeding profusely. She mentally chanted, "Must not faint, must not faint." When Sakura saw Naruto's muscles, she flushed. Sakura automatically said, "Damn, I didn't know he was hiding those." Sasuke still had more muscle than the blonde. Kurenai's eyes widened when she saw Naruto appear. Shit. He looks just like his father. Look at those muscles. This kid will be a heartbreaker with the ladies in the future. As usual, Kyuubi saw the female's reaction and snickered, but Naruto was blind to it. Naruto cheerfully greeted everyone, saying, "Hello guys. I hope I didn't make you wait." Kurenai, who was trying desperately not to pay too much attention to those muscles, said, "No, you're just in time. Kakashi and Tazuna-san just arrived." Before Naruto joined the group, Sasuke observed that, in contrast to the other teams, he did not bring any packs. He made fun of the blonde, saying, "Hey Dobi, don't tell me you forgot to bring your pack along." Naruto simply looked at him before revealing his storage seal with his left hand. He pointed to the seal with his right finger and said, "I got everything right here." Incredulous, Kakashi said, "You know seals." "Of course. Dad left a lot of notes on seals back in our clan library. I've been studying them for almost 2 years now. I won't say I'm a master but I get by." A haughty Sasuke, who didn't trust a word of the blonde's seal knowledge, said, "Prove it Dobi." He noticed that everyone was staring at him, anticipating his demonstration. With a sigh, he lifted his right hand, palm out, 3 feet in front of him, and used his chakra to force all the objects to come out of his storage seal. After a great puff of smoke, the contents of the storage seal were exposed to the public. In addition to 2 outdoor tents, 4 sleeping bags, 3 medium-sized boxes of food rations, and a variety of other supplies like inks, blank scrolls, and extra clothing, there were also mounds of shurikens and kunais, each arranged in their own group. He turned to face the stunned group. "Well, enough demonstration for you." Sakura stammered, "Naruto, what are all those?" Kakashi-sensei mentioned to pack for a month, so I did. I packed extra just in case some of you run out of something, so it's better to be safe than sorry. I have the liberty to bring as much as I can since I'm not encumbered by the weight. Also, I have enough chakra at my disposal to store unlimited items in a single seal without any repercussion, stated Naruto. Kurenai observed the slight shift in tone when he mentioned Kakashi's name, but everyone readily accepted the explanation. For later, she put it in the back of his mind. "But, how in the world did you have a storage seal on your arm? That's not supposed to be possible. Also, no seal in existence can store multiple items at once." Kurenai gasped in disbelief. "Of course you wouldn't know about it. This is one of the prototype seals that my dad made. It is one of his pet projects. He was checking out how summoning scrolls work and made a few sketches on skin-based seals. I finished it and now it is safe to use." Given the enormous benefit of carrying such seals on his person, Kakashi asked, "Do you think you can give us a copy of those seals? That would make it very convenient for the rest of the team." He was aware that Minato was a seal master, and it appears that his son inherited his skills. "Sorry Kakashi-sensei, Hokage Gigi told me to hold on to the design since this is part of Konoha's secrets. If the design gets out then our enemies might take advantage of it. If you want, you can ask Gigi if I'm allowed to graft a seal on your skin but I can't make any promises," stated Naruto. Since they had already chosen the alibi, he didn't worry that the Hokage would grant it when those who knew about it asked for it. Naturally, those who inquire will be politely declined. With the exception of Sasuke and Sakura, of course, everyone on the team had a different perspective on Naruto. Sasuke was terrified to ask the blonde for Naruto's techniques because he was so envious of what he could do. He simply gritted his teeth and kept his mouth shut because the altercation they had at the training ground was still fresh in his mind. When Naruto noticed that everyone was pleased with the demonstration, he pointed his left hand at his supplies and directed a lot of chakra toward his storage seal. The supplies emerged from the ground and were securely stored inside his seal after a big puff of smoke. "So, are we ready to go?" Kakashi gave nod. "Okay team, I'm going to ask everyone to take defensive points with Tazuna-san in the middle. Hinata and Kiba will take points since they can easily detect incoming dangers with their bloodline. Shino and Sakura will place themselves beside Tazuna-san in the middle for protection. Naruto take left and Sasuke gets right. Kurenai and me will lag behind the group to provide support if necessary." "Okay everyone, let's go." After assuming their assigned positions, Teams 7 and 8 departed Konoha in the direction of Wave. Unbeknownst to him, Naruto's journey had just begun, and his name would soon begin to spread throughout the elemental country, either positively or negatively. Naruto was really disappointed because it was his first time ever leaving the village. All that was visible were trees, lots and lots of trees. He was initially very happy to leave Konoha through the western gate with the other members of Teams 7 and 8, but after walking a few miles, the sight of the enormous trees left him wanting more. As they traveled the obvious route to Wave Country with their client, Naruto was incredibly bored. His thoughts returned to the task at hand after the brief thrill had subsided. Even though this was a straightforward escort mission, he was still bothered by the instinct he had ever had since meeting Tazuna. Following his instincts was dangerous for his health, especially after all the years he spent escaping the Konoha mobs. As they trudged along the dusty path, his gaze drifted to his current teammates. The road wasn't impeded by mud or puddles because it hadn't rained in a long time. Kiba and Hinata were walking ahead, occupied with their conversations. He saw that Hinata occasionally used her Byakugan to scan the path in front of her. Kiba was sniffing the air with Akamaru on his head to look for strange smells, which are typically associated with unseen assailants. He then saw Sakura and Shino in the center of the defensive group. There had been no change in Sakura. Considering their previous discussion in Training Ground 7, he shook his head. She was undoubtedly a gifted kunoichi of the leaf, but her present mental state has prevented her from making much progress in the shinobi arts. She would find herself in a precarious situation that could easily lead to her death if she doesn't make the necessary corrections quickly. In contrast, Shino was the pinnacle of shinobi stoicism. Shino is the only person in his age group who can conceal his feelings with such ferocity that it was frightening. Don't be fooled by his apparent lack of focus, though. He is a deadly shinobi thanks to the Aburame logic and the eyes behind those dark glasses. Naruto was intrigued by the teen's family's affinity for insects, among other things. His clan's library contained a few references to the reticent Aburames, but not enough to provide him with a thorough account. He caught a glimpse of the insect user and then saw the gloomy Sasuke on the far right of the defensive area. He was mistaken for the teenager with the dark hair. It's true that his own brother killed his family and clan in front of him, but that shouldn't drive him to the point of losing his humanity and turning into a monster who only wanted power to exact revenge. He made an effort to alter the Uchiha, but it appears that his words were ignored. With a shrug, he allowed his mind to wander to the two Junin who made up the rear of the group. Hatake Kakashi was a man who caused Naruto a great deal of confusion. What had become of the gregarious dog he had known while still in Anbu? Why did he abruptly break with his code of conduct and reveal the Uchiha's favoritism? He was determined to unravel the mystery. Last but certainly not least is Konohagakure no Sato's Genjutsu mistress, the enigmatic Yuhi Kurenai. She was the least proficient in taijutsu and ninjutsu among the Junins of Konoha, but her genjutsu abilities were comparable to those of the Kurama clan, who are renowned for having a lineage of transforming illusions into reality. Her abilities can be summed up as allowing you to see something else before you pass away. He was impressed by her abilities and wanted to ask her for advice, but he was aware that there are some things he could never hope to compete in no matter how much study and effort he put in. Kyuubi can't use illusions because his chakra is just too strong. A shout from Hinata jolted him out of his reverie. He felt something behind him and turned to look when he regained consciousness. Two figures that he had not previously noticed leapt out of the puddle and bound their senseis together with chains that were attached to both of their metallic claw-like arms. One of the figures said, "Chew down," and then pulled on the chain, slicing their Junin senseis into pieces of flesh, blood, and cloth. Sakura yelled, "Kakashi-sensei! Kurenai-sensei!" as she witnessed her strong Junin teacher being ripped to pieces. When she saw the bloody aftermath of the attack, she instantly froze, the client standing forgotten by her side. After echoing his partner, "More to go," the two of them ran in Tazuna's direction. The group sprang to action. In an attempt to slow down the two dark figures, Naruto instantly raised his right arm and directed chakra to his right glove in a continuous burst, launching a fast-firing barrage of shurikens in their direction. By leaping to the right, the two figures were able to avoid the approaching projectile. When Shino noticed that the attackers were getting close to Tazuna and their location, he let go of his bugs and silently ordered them to drain their chakra upon contact. But as soon as the attackers saw the crowd, one of them threw two shurikens at Shino, who was taken aback by the unexpected attack and flung himself aside, tackling Tazuna as he did so because his evasion might have struck the client with the stray projectile. Shino became unsteady as a result, and the insect swarm disregarded the order to attack in favor of defending their master. With lightning speed, Naruto launched a kunai that struck a hole in one of the links that joined them, securing the two of them to a tree. The two were further trapped in their position when Sasuke imitated the action and threw his own shuriken. When the assailants pulled on the chain, they discovered that it was securely fastened. Just as they were about to break their connection, Sasuke seized both of their clawed arms, spun around, and kicked them twice with a double mule, sending them flying. Although the display was impressive, it had a specific flaw. The kick was so powerful that it knocked the assailants to the ground and broke the chain from the shuriken and kunai holding it in place. As he prepared a chakra blade for the impending attack, Naruto grunted, "Great work, idiot." Now you just made our problems twice as hard. He only received the word, HNN, from the Uchiha prodigy, who stood a few feet to his left. Shaking his head, Naruto turned his focus to their opponents. When the two attackers realized they were free in midair, they demonstrated excellent body coordination and teamwork by using their own bodies to jump to the sides. While the others headed directly for Naruto, one of the attackers made a beeline for Tazuna. One of the attackers was seen by Hinata going directly toward their client. She quickly rushed forward, positioned herself in front of the client, and dropped into her Juken stance after catching Sakura freezing. She threw jabs, palm thrusts, and swipes in an attempt to land a blow and render her assailant helpless as soon as she was within range. Unfortunately for her, the attacker was able to easily avoid her attempts because they were a level higher than they were. A shout of, "Gatsuga," saved her after she overextended one of her palm thrusts and was about to pay the price. When Kiba realized Hinata was going to be killed, he squatted down and leapt forward, screaming, "Gatsuga," as he spun. The Hinata's attacker was about to swipe her with his metallic claws when the drill-like attack struck him, causing him to be thrown off balance. After he recovered, Kiba immediately ducked into a defensive crouch in front of Hinata. With a growl of warning, Akamaru caught up to his partners and remained by his side. With the attacker's clawed hand, Naruto's chakra blade clanged innocuously. They both grunted as they tried in vain to push the other back. Naruto's strength was still that of a 12-year-old boy despite his intense training, but he was able to hold it against someone who was much bigger than him. Sasuke threw the attacker back with an overhead kick to the head as they both tried to gain control. Unfortunately, Naruto was also unprepared for this unexpected attack. When the opposing force vanished, he yelled and landed face first on the ground. With a grunt, he pushed himself off the ground and gave the offender a fierce look. Naruto snarled, "You fool. What did you do that for?" With a smug grin, Sasuke declared, "I just took the chance to attack Dobi. It wasn't my fault that you were in my way." It was then that Naruto lost it. With a growl, he got up from the ground. He was furious. Yes, he was furious. Everyone was taken aback by his yell of, "Enough." Even the two assailants, who were partially stunned on the ground. With a growl, Naruto turned on his Kamagen. His elemental orbs came to life and whirled around him in a rage. He really was a sight to see. His robe fluttered wildly as an unseen wind whipped through it. The scariest part was his eyes. Everyone froze when they saw it. Now, to reflect its master's fury, the reverse star on Naruto's eyes was spinning wildly. Naruto extended both of his arms, indicating each of the assailants. From the water orb, two whip-like appendages erupted, shooting directly at the defeated assailants. It lifted both figures off the ground and willed them to float in front of him, encircling them like angry tentacles. He growled again and flung them both forward, colliding headlong with a tree. Immediately after raising his right hand, Naruto closed it into a fist. Earth lifted off the ground and hurled itself at the stunned assailants, enclosing them with rocks and dirt. The attackers were surrounded by hardened clay, which effectively cut off any escape routes, following a blast of fire and water. He turned his enraged eyes to Sasuke, who was trembling in terror, upon realizing that his task was completed. With a rumbling growl, he willed another whip to envelop Sasuke and freeze him in place. He clomped over to the trembling Uchiha. "You idiot. For once in your life stop being an arrogant dick and be a shinobi for Kami's sake. You knew that I was in a standoff with my opponent. You can easily kick him to the side or you can easily warn me of your attack, but no. You have to use that idiotic Uchiha brain and resort to bravado that could have put your teammates to their death. I will make sure that no Uchiha will be left in Konoha. By Kami I swear it." He growled and threw the Uchiha with such force that he ended up 20 feet from his position, landing face first on the ground, skidding, and then coming to a stop. Naruto inhaled deeply to help him relax. He turned off his Kamagen and closed his eyes. Before he was calm enough to think clearly again, he kept breathing in and out for a few seconds. When he opened his eyes, the look on his teammates' faces nearly made him laugh aloud. In front of a big bush, Kakashi and Kurenai, who were said to have died, stood with their mouths open, too shocked to speak. Kiba's expression was one of both wonder and terror as he gazed at Naruto as though he were a god. His thoughts kept coming back to him. Mental note: don't make Naruto mad. Whimpering on the ground behind Kiba's legs was Akamaru. Hinata's face was flushed. She was very much looking forward to seeing Naruto again, with his bloodline active and in control. "Naruto-kun, No, must, not, faint. Sakura, as usual, was shocked by what Naruto had done to her crush before rushing to check on the fallen Uchiha. Not that she screamed at him. The only thing Shino is doing is raising one eyebrow. Aburame is typical. Don't you dare make that boy mad at you, was the only message his buzzing bugs were sending him through his body and beneath his coat. Tazuna was staring at him as though he were humanity's savior. With this kid guarding me, Gato's going down. Yep, he's going down. In utter humiliation, Naruto scratched the back of his head, a gesture that would simply classify him as Kushina's son to those who knew her. Sorry about that, I guess I lost my temper there for a bit. Everyone's thoughts returned to normal after that. Before questioning the captured nins, Kakashi said in a quiet voice, "A good job everyone, especially you Naruto." Kakashi and Kurenai were able to identify these two as the demon brothers, missing nin of Kurigakure, after questioning the inmates. They both claim that Gato hired them to murder Tazuna before he could get to Wave and finish the bridge. Now that he had been caught lying about the mission parameter, Tazuna was telling Kakashi why he had done it. A desperate Tazuna explained, "I had no choice. I have to hire shinobis to protect me while I finish the bridge. It is my country's only hope." Every shinobi was staring at him, and he was perspiring. "Why did you lie about the mission ranking? That could have jeopardized everyone on the team," Kurenai asked vehemently. Tazuna, now kneeling on the ground and pleading with them to allow the mission to proceed, stammered, "Again, I have no choice. Wave country is bled dry of all its finances because of Gato. We only have enough money for a C rank mission. You are my country's only hope." Kakashi let out a sigh. He detested being in this situation. "I'm not sure if we should continue the mission. This is definitely a breach in protocol. If the demon brothers are any indication, we will be facing stronger shinobis when we reach Wave. Considering that the demon brothers are easily Chunin rank, it is quite possible we will be facing a Junin rank missing nin once we reach our destination. Please, you have to help me. We don't have anyone else to turn to." Tazuna wept. "This is out of my hands, Tazuna-san. Only the Hokage can order us to continue the mission or not." Naruto cut his sensei off. "Not quite, Kakashi-sensei. What if we make camp and get word to the old man, the Hokage, about the change in mission? We can send him a message, wait for it and see what he decides. What do you think?" Kakashi considered it for a moment. "I'm not sure, Naruto. We don't have any means to send any message to Hokage-sama." Naruto raised a hand. "But what if we have a means to send a message to the Hokage and get a reply in a matter of hours? Would you write the message?" "Well, if that is the case, then yes. I will write a report and send it to the Hokage and we can wait for his reply whether to continue the mission or not." Then Naruto grinned and said, "Good. Why don't you write the message? I'll take care of sending it to the old man." Kurenai asked this time, her tone curious, "And how are you supposed to do that?" The one-eyed Junin was asked, "Trust me. Can you write the report now, Kakashi-sensei?" He nodded, took a blank scroll, ink, and brush from his pack, and started writing the message. A few minutes later, Kakashi was done and gave the blonde genin the sealed scroll. Raising his right arm, Naruto directed some chakra toward his tattoo of phoenix. After a burst of flame, Naruto's arms extended to reveal a magnificent yellow-plumed phoenix. The aforementioned bird looked around before turning to face its summoner. He and Naruto-kun, long time no see. What do you need? Hiei, can you do me a favor? Can you bring this message to the old man real quick and wait for his reply? We need it as fast as possible. The phoenix replied. The young phoenix chirped excitedly, "Sure. No problem. But, do you have some candy with you?" Naruto broke out in a sweat. "Fantastic. Another phoenix addicted to sweets. The whole clan has lost its mind." He said, turning to face his sensei and his astonished teammates. "Anyone has any candy for my friend here?" she asked, gesturing to the phoenix who was waiting and trying to look cute so she could get more candy. The men in the group gave a negative shrug. However, Hinata flushed and pulled a chocolate-covered candy out of her pocket, which she then gave to Naruto. Naruto gave the girl a sidelong glance before removing the candy and giving it to the excited bird, who happily squawked it up. When the bird grabbed the scroll with her talons and vanished in a flash of yellow-orange flames, she cried, "Thanks, that was delicious." Naruto gave a headshake. He glanced at his stunned teammates and Kurenai and said, "Ever since I introduced candy to the Phoenix clan, they are all addicted to the thing. I shudder to think the amount of candy I would need if the boss summon would ask the same thing." Kakashi simply smiled at him because he already knew that Naruto could call forth the phoenix. What? Naruto, what was that? A startled Kurenai inquired. Oh, I forgot. That was one of my summons from the Phoenix clan. Her name is Rei, part of the group who is known for delivering quick messages. Wait a minute, Sakura told me that you can also summon tigers, replied Kakashi. Everybody stared at him like he was insane. But Sakura managed to look sheepish by telling her sensei about Naruto's other summons, and Naruto was glaring at her. Naruto let out a sigh. Fine, I have the contract for the Phoenix and Tiger clans. I also have the Dragon clan as part of my summons since it is a part of my inheritance from the Uzumaki clan, explained a furious Naruto. Kurenai exclaimed, what, you have 3 summons? The revelation shocked everyone else as well. Yes, there was 1 unfulfilled summons, but 3. Amazing. With a questioning gaze, Naruto said, yeah. Is there a problem with that? But the red-eyed Junin said, no. Just shocked, that's all. Maybe we should start to make camp while we wait for that bird of yours. With a nod, everyone headed into the woods to find a spot to camp. With Akamaru's assistance, Kiba located a sizable clearing a few meters from the road. Everyone helped out, and Naruto had to get his extra sleeping bag and tent out of his storage seal for Tazuna. Rei dropped the scroll she had obtained from the Hokage and abruptly materialized in front of Naruto, who was lounging on a log. Anything else, Naruto-kun? Rei exclaimed as she approached her summoner. Nope, that is enough for now. Thanks a bunch, Rei. I'll make sure I bring sweets when I summon you and your clan. Rei said goodbye and flew back to her home in the summoning realm, saying, you're always welcome, Naruto-kun. Make sure that you get the one that you gave me. I never knew chocolate was so good. Don't be a stranger now. Taking the scroll from his lap, Naruto tossed it to his Junin sensei, who opened it and read the Hokage's instructions. Before speaking to Tazuna, he handed Kurenai the scroll to read. You're lucky, Tazuna-san. That Hokage gave us permission to continue the mission. Tazuna sighed with relief at this news and thanked everyone. His nation is spared. Kakashi went on. Okay everyone, Hokage-sama gave us new mission parameters. For your information, the mission is now boosted from C rank to A rank with potential S rank depending on the missing nins we will be encountering on the mission. The announcement shocked everyone. They all understood that they had just entered the real world of shinobis after leaving the playground. Things are getting serious now. We are going to break camp in the morning and make our way to Wave as fast as we can. Our order is to neutralize any hostilities we encounter. Understood. Everyone on the team gave their approval, so they proceeded to set up their campsite, chose watch shifts, and then took a nap in preparation for a demanding day the following day. An hour after sunrise, Team 7 and Team 8 dispersed their camp and started walking in the direction of Wave. Kurenai woke Naruto up 3 hours before dawn so he could take his turn watching the camp, even though Naruto had a good night's sleep in his own tent. It wouldn't have been too bad, but he nearly lost his mind when he was paired with a very sulky Sasuke. In order to keep an eye on the camp, he mentally noted that he should never draw sticks again. The Uchiha remained silent for the remainder of the shift, so it didn't really bother him, but the jealousy and rage that were radiating from him made him tense. The Konoha teams managed to arrive at the congested shore of Hinokuni, where they were to be transported to Wave by a covert boat ride arranged by one of Tazuna's contacts. The fact that there is only one boat is the only issue Naruto saw with the entire situation. Tazuna, I thought we agreed that you will only be taking 4 people with you. My boat can only 5 people including you. And I'm not risking my life to return for the next batch. The boatman said with a low voice. The bridge builder pleaded, come on Genji, do me a favor. No, I'm already risking my neck granting you passage towards Wave. If Gato finds out then I'll be sink before I yell for help. The captain steadfastly declined. Tazuna let out a sigh. He looked at the shinobis from Konoha. I guess that's that. 4 of you will take the boat with me while the other would find a way to cross. Kakashi hesitated, considering his options. He was interrupted by Naruto coughing. We can always water walk to Wave but from the group, only me and Kurenai can do, he said. Yes Naruto. Naruto acknowledged, I can do water walk Kakashi-sensei. He demonstrated his ability to retort by jumping on top of the water when he saw Sasuke about to do so. The Uchiha were quiet after that. See. Kakashi cleared his throat. This time, Kakashi was stopped by a tiny splash. Okay. 3 of us can walk to Wave, but that still leaves 1 who won't be able to cross. I guess we can piggyback. When he noticed that Sakura and Sasuke were already on the boat, he started to perspire. He smiled at everyone on the shore, saying, I guess that solved part of the problem. So who wants to piggyback? Kurenai simply rolled her eyes at his Kojunan's attempt at a joke. While glancing at the hazy waters, Naruto said, Kakashi-sensei. Why don't you decide who will go on the boat while I will take care of the rest of those who are left? Kakashi, sighing that his pupil would be performing yet another miracle from his rhetorical hat, asked, What have you got in mind, Naruto? Kakashi rolled his eyes and said, Believe me. Really, trust me, just pick who goes on the boat, then I'll take care of the rest. Fine, at least there should be one Junin on the boat to protect Tazuna on the way to Wave. So since Sasuke and Sakura volunteered themselves on the boat, I guess either me or Kurenai will be riding along with, Shino. Yes, Shino, we need at least one tracker out there that can scout in advance, instructed Kakashi with a dubious tone. Kurenai, who was interested in what the blonde was doing, offered to accompany Naruto right away. Why don't you take the boat, Kakashi, with Shino? I'll stay with Naruto for whatever he needs to do to get us to Wave. To the silent Aburame, Kakashi beckoned, sure. Well, come on, Shino. After pushing the boat off the shore and waiting for Naruto's group to follow, the boatman let them both board and then pulled out. When Naruto noticed that the first group was prepared, he gave Kurenai a suspicious glance. Tell me, Kurenai-sensei, are you afraid of heights? Kurenai, perplexed by the question, chose to give the blonde mystery an honest response. Yes, as a matter of fact, I am afraid of heights. There's something about empty air that creeps me out. The truthful response caused Naruto to nod. He thought of a specific dragon who enjoyed swimming as he faced the water and directed chakra to his tattoo, saying, okay, here we go. We will be floating beside the boat. So, here goes. Everyone yelled in surprise when a huge puff of smoke later revealed a large green dragon floating on the water a few feet next to the boat. The dragon saw the damp place from which he appeared and said, Naruto-sama. Finally you called for me. The big green dragon punctuated his joy by splashing his tail on the water, creating medium-sized waves and rocking the boat, which made Sakura turn green with motion sickness. Perfect. You know I love to swim. Pointing to the boat next to him, Naruto said, Here Ryoto. You're welcome. I immediately thought of you when a problem presented itself. Can you take us to Wave Country? All you need is to follow the boat. With a sideways glance, Ryoto saw the boat and its quivering passengers. He turned back to Naruto after nodding. Sure thing, Naruto-sama. So who will be coming along for the ride? When the dragon appeared in front of them, Naruto gestured to Kurenai, Hinata, Kiba, and Akamaru, who was shaking inside Kiba's jackets. You think you can handle the weight? The dragon snorted and drew nearer to the shore, resting his enormous head on the sand. PSSSH easy. Climb aboard. Well, come on. I want to go for a swim. Naruto motioned for his stunned teammates to join him. When he saw their terrified expressions, he rolled his eyes, leapt on top of Ryoto, and took up residence in the space between his eyes. Naruto gave the team that was left on the shore a cheeky grin and asked, Aren't you coming? Reluctantly, Kurenai followed and leapt onto the dragon's head. As soon as she stepped onto solid ground, she realized that the scales were hard. To let Hinata and Kiba know it was safe, he beckoned them. Both jumped on board and did as their sensei instructed. Seeing that everyone was prepared, Naruto turned to face the astonished boatman. Everything's ready, Mr. Boatman, sir. You go first, then we'll follow. Genji simply nodded his head and rowed the boat toward the waves, away from the shore. Ryoto followed Naruto's signal to follow the boat by patting his head. Both the teams on the two and the ones on the dragon experienced a comparatively quiet ride. Naruto finally saw the outline of the enormous bridge that Tazuna was constructing after a half-hour of travel. Naruto noticed that Tazuna was occupied discussing Gato's activities in Wave with Kakashi when he turned to face the boat. Additionally, he saw Sakura glancing jealously at Hinata and Kiba, perhaps believing that she shouldn't have followed Sasuke on the ship so she could ride Naruto's dragon. Sasuke was brooding as usual, but occasionally he gave him envious and irate glances. Naruto simply found the two amusing. Over the water, Naruto said to Tazuna, Hey Tazuna. The bridge you are building is huge. With his newfound resolve, Tazuna exclaimed, Gaki. That bridge is my masterpiece, and once it is completed, it will save everyone in Wave and liberate us from Gato's clutches. The elderly man felt at ease knowing that he was in capable hands with this group when Naruto said, Don't worry Tazuna-san. We will help you finish the bridge. With a tone of innocent curiosity, Kurenai said, So Naruto, what can you tell me about the Dragon Clan? You mentioned earlier that it is an Uzumaki clan summon. Yep, I found the scrolls for my summons in my clan's library. Gigi told me that my mom must have acquired the other 2 contracts during her tenure as a leaf shinobi, stated Naruto. Gigi, Naruto answered, oh, you know him as Old Man Hokage. Kurenai simply regarded him with admiration. You got balls of steel, kid, I'll tell you that. Not many got the courage to call Hokage-sama the way you do. In response to the Junin's remark, Naruto simply waved his hands. Naruto put on a soft smile that caused Kurenai to smile as well. Nah, as far as I can remember, I always call him Gigi or old man. After all, I treat him as a grandfather and he told me that I am his surrogate grandson. I guess that is my way of showing him my respect. So, back to my question, I thought dragons were supposed to, you know, fly. He confirmed, oh, don't worry, dragons can fly, even Ryoto here. He scratched the dragon's head, causing the summon to purr loudly. He just likes to swim, so I specifically chose him to give us a ride to waves since you told me that you don't like heights. Thank you for considering my well-being, Naruto. By the way, why did you ask me anyway? Naruto smiled sheepishly at her. He added a shiver to the last sentence, well, you see, I'm not really that fond of riding dragons. I prefer the Phoenix clan for that. I don't know why, but flying without wings makes my skin crawl. You know, Naruto-sama, if you just give it a try, you will definitely enjoy it. If you want, I'll take off right now and give you and your group one hell of a ride, said the smiling dragon. Naruto used his hand to slap the dragon. The dragon didn't say anything, but the slight tremor that rocked its body was evidence that it was afraid. Oh no, you don't, you overgrown pile of scales. If you do that, I'll tell Siryu about it. He knows I don't like it. When Kurenai heard the name, her attention was drawn to it. She accused Naruto, wait a minute. Did you just say Siryu? The legendary beast Siryu? Naruto said in a low voice, Kurenai-sensei, please keep it down. I don't want to announce to the world that I hold the legendary dragon clan's contract. By the way, how did you recognize the name anyway? Gigi told me that the names of the legendary beast are lost since antiquity. When a student reprimanded Kurenai, she flushed. She snapped her head at Naruto so quickly that the blonde teenager thought her neck had broken. Well, I have this hobby of reading mythological histories of the elemental nations. That is why I recognize the name, she said. She demanded of the genin, wait a minute. Don't tell me that the boss of your 2 other summons are Suzaku and Byako. Fortunately, the rest of the party couldn't hear her because she whispered the last part. Yes, a terrified Naruto muttered. Kurenai sighed, shocked by what she had learned. Damn. Who would have thought that a simple genin have 3 of the 4 contracts of the legendary beasts? Is it really that hard to believe, Kurenai-sensei? Not really, it's just, I don't know, amazing, I guess. For a person like me who loves history, these things can be a dream come true, you know. She exhaled. How I wish. How you wish that you can meet them, right? Yes. Naruto chuckled. She grinned broadly and gave Kurenai a pat on the back. Don't worry, Kurenai-sensei. If we have time after this mission, I'll be more than happy to introduce you to them. I know they would love to know that someone is still interested in their history. Kurenai simply thanked Naruto silently by giving him a tight hug. When Kurenai saw the contact, Naruto flushed. She chuckled. Due to the boat's slowness, the entire journey took 2 hours, but the dragon was content with the delay because it meant he could spend more time in the water. They were taken by boat to a remote area of the island that Gato was supposedly unaware of. From their individual ships, both parties stepped off. When Naruto arrived at the shore, he said goodbye to Ryoto, who gladly returned the favor. He told Naruto to call him again if he needed another water ride before poofing his way back to his house. The request was so ridiculous that Naruto simply shook his head. As Tazuna led them to his house, Team 7 and Team 8 positioned themselves defensively around him. Everyone stopped when Kiba threw a shuriken at the moving bush before Hinata could stop him, even though the trek was simple. After reprimanding him for his negligence, he proceeded to the bush and extracted a shivering white rabbit that was just inches from being skewered by Kiba's kunai. After giving the rabbit several pats, Hinata let it go, and the group proceeded to walk in the direction of Tazuna's house. But when Kakashi heard something in the woods, the group's silence came to an end. He abruptly shouted for everyone to descend. Everyone reacted, with everyone throwing themselves to the ground as Shino pulled Tazuna down. And just in time, a massive blade impaled itself on a tree in front of them while spinning overhead. A figure emerged, sitting atop the blade and scowling down at the Konoha team. When Kakashi recognized the person's appearance, he stated, "Momochi Zabuza aka Demon of the Mist. A-rank missing nin from Kurigakure no Sato." When Zabuza recognized the speaker, he smirked evilly and looked down at him. Zabuza taunted, "Oh, Hitaki Kakashi, or should I say Sharingan no Kakashi, the copycat ninja." Ignoring the murderous intent that the missing nin was hurling at them, Kakashi calmly asked, "What are you doing here, Zabuza? Aren't you a long way from home?" Zabuza pointed to Tazuna's frightened form and said, "Well, I'm here on business, Kakashi. You see, I was hired to kill that old man over there by my client." Kakashi pressed the nin for more details, asking, "And who might this client be?" "Tut tut, Kakashi, you already know who I'm working with. So why don't you spare me the trouble and hand me the old man? In exchange, I'll let your teams go free. How's that for a good deal, huh?" Kakashi pulled up his Hitai-8, exposing his Sharingan, and said, "No deal, Zabuza. We were hired to protect Tazuna and you're not going to get him that easily without a fight." When Zabuza realized this, he grinned even more. "Oh, bringing out the famed Sharingan already, Kakashi. I'm honored that you put me in such a high pedestal." Kakashi spoke to the genins rather than the missing nin. "Team 7 and 8, I want all of you to protect Tazuna. Me and Kurenai will handle Zabuza." At this, the Kiri missing nin grinned. He performed a series of hand seals before letting go of his technique, saying, "Really, Kakashi, do you think you can protect your little brats?" "I don't think so. Hidden mist is the water style." At once, a dense fog engulfed the whole region, obscuring everyone's vision. The genins were huddled around Tazuna, their bodies tense for possible threats, while Kurenai and Kakashi were braced for an attack. The genins shivered as an intense blast of murderous intent suddenly swept through the area. While the other teams were unable to reverse the effects of the killing intent, Naruto was able to do so. With a silent prayer of gratitude to the elderly man for the teachings, Naruto reflected, "Thank Kami Gigi taught me how to counter killing intent using chakra." Naruto noticed that his teammates were not handling it well. The decision he made would likely cause him to regret it in the future. He called out to Kakashi. "Kakashi-sensei, how long do you need to get rid of Zabuza?" Kakashi looked at Naruto and kept his eyes open for potential attacks. Zabuza is a master of the silent killing technique. This might not be an easy match even with me and Kurenai tag teaming him. If I must, I may be able to hold out or take him out in 15 minutes give or take. Naruto gave a nod. Looking at his trembling teammates and the frightened old man, he said, "I can hold out with what I'm about to do. Guys, I want you to huddle around me right now. At least get in range of within 10 feet. I can protect us while our senseis take Zabuza out." "What do you mean?" Shino asked, but Naruto's simple command cut him off before he could finish. Naruto yelled, now, with all the authority he possessed. The genins of Teams 7 and 8 gathered around Naruto, Tazuna by his side, without saying another word. Naruto wasted no time in extending both of his arms in front of him. Channeling enough chakra to activate the seal, he clenched his fists together. Before a huge dome of semi-transparent chakra appeared around the group, effectively protecting them from the outside, his seals on his gloves glowed once, twice, and 3 times. The amount of chakra that Naruto released left Kurenai and Kakashi speechless. "Naruto, what are you doing?" a tense Kakashi asked. Naruto explained, keeping his focus on the amount of chakra he was channeling to the gloves. "This is my chakra shield. With the seals on my gloves, I can create an almost impenetrable barrier around me shielding us from any outside attacks. This way, you won't have to worry about us while you take care of Zabuza." Because the enemy might be listening, he refrained from telling Kakashi how long his technique could last. Kakashi nodded, but a voice appeared behind the chakra dome, warning him. As he appeared behind the stunned genins, Zabuza exclaimed, "Oh! What is this? Do you think such a thing will protect you? Don't make a fool out of me, Konoha-nin." He was startled when the chakra dome repelled his prized Kubikiri Haku as he swung his enormous sword in its direction. The fact that the sword vibrated in his hand demonstrated that the chakra dome was a sturdy structure that protected the interior from him. Before he could finish, Kakashi appeared behind him and stabbed Zabuza in the spine. "Oh, now this is an interesting development. It seems your brats are quite skilled, Kakashi. I won," he said. Sadly for Kakashi, The Zabuza he stabbed turned to water right away. Kakashi swore, "Shit, water clone." A voice behind him stopped him in his tracks just as he was about to move. He swung his sword down, but Kurenai's kunai embedded it in his head, causing him to stop. "Yes it is. Now it's your turn, Kakashi." However, Zabuza once more turned into water before anyone could declare victory. Despite being unable to assist, Naruto witnessed the battle taking place outside. The shield will be dispelled if he loses focus, leaving them vulnerable to the enemy. "Hinata, I want you to support Kakashi and Kurenai-sensei from here." Hinata stammered, "How will I do that, Naruto-kun?" The strain of focusing too much on his shield caused Naruto to grunt. Even though his chakra was still within reasonable bounds, he felt somewhat depleted after taking that single blow from Zabuza's attack. He must prevent further attacks if he hopes to keep the shield in place for an extended period of time. "I want you to use your Byakugan and scout the area. Tell me how many clones are surrounding us. Do it now." With a nod, Hinata turned on her Byakugan. To extend the range, she pumped as much chakra as she could into her eyes. "Naruto-kun, there are at least 10 Zabuzas out there hiding in the mist. I'm sure one of them is the real one." Naruto stated, "Give me their location." With a nod, Hinata focused once more. "There are 2 Zabuzas behind us. One out in the lake, another at 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10 feet o'clock respectively. There are 2 at the last location I mentioned." "Good. Here's the plan, guys. I am going to decrease the power of my chakra shield, enough for you to release your attacks simultaneously. I'm going to lower my shield for only 5 seconds and I'll put it back to full power. I want you to attack when I say go. Is that clear?" Everyone gave a nod. "Why should we follow your instructions, Dobi?" the Uchiha snarled. Naruto growled back, but this time he released a small killer that was enough to keep him focused on the Uchiha and shut him up. "Would you mind shutting up, Sasuke? If you want to kill your brother, then we have to survive this first. Kakashi and Kurenai can't handle all those Zabuzas out there with this mist hiding them from view. If you want to die, be my guest. If not, then shut your trap and attack when I say so." "Understood." For now, Sasuke nodded. Naruto glared at the Sasuke and went on. "Tazuna-san, do you agree with my plan? Since you are my client and I am currently holding the shield protecting you, I need your permission to push through it." Tazuna studied the teen with the blonde hair. This boy hadn't let him down yet. Heck, without his assistance back in Hino Kuni, he shouldn't have made it this far. He gave a nod. "Go ahead, kid. Promise me that you will kick that guy's ass for me." Naruto laughed. "Thanks, Tazuna-san. Okay everyone, when I say go I want you to release your attacks simultaneously. Shino, I want you to release your bugs and locate the real Zabuza. Once you get the location, we will relay it to our senseis. While you're at it, you might want to get the other clones as well and suck their chakra out." Shino gave a nod. The plan was sound. "Sasuke, you will take care of the 2 behind us. Use your clan's fireball technique to blast those 2 to Kingdom Come." Sasuke gave a nod. "Sakura, Hinata, Kiba, inside my robe is a pocket containing one of my trap seals. I want you each to take out the yellow tags, one for each of you. I want you to hold the seals with the ink facing the target in the palm of your hand. When I give the signal, I want you to channel as much chakra as you can to the tag to release the attack I used when we fought the demon brothers." The 3 of them nodded. When Hinata touched the blonde's muscles, she blushed and reached into Naruto's robe. She located the previously mentioned tags and gave one to Sakura and one to Kiba. Following Naruto's instructions, Hinata assisted Kiba and Sakura in pointing their tags to their respective targets. "Hinata, I want you to point Kiba and Sakura in the right direction since you're the only one that can easily see through this mist." Naruto glanced at his fellows. "Everyone ready?" There was a nod from everyone. He reduced the chakra he channeled to the shield until it was nearly transparent, indicating that its solidity had been lost. "Good, on the count of 3, 1, 2, go," he said. Naruto tallied. 1. A swarm of Shino's bugs emerged from his sleeves and soared through the mist as he raised his hands. 2. Sasuke quickly broke through hand seals and blasted a particularly large fireball in the direction of his mist-hidden target. 3. In order to release a torrent of kunais that were directly aimed at their concealed target, Sakura, Kiba, and Hinata directed as much chakra as they could toward the tags on their hands. 4. Shino acknowledged that he had obtained Zabuza's location and was getting ready to give it to Naruto when their plan came to an end. 5. Naruto instantly snapped the shield back into position at full power after the count. He was lucky to be able to do this in time because one of the water clones that was meant to be Sasuke's target managed to survive and struck Tazuna with an overhand blow that would have easily struck him. Rather, there was a loud clang as the massive sword struck the shield. Given that the attack used up a quarter of Naruto's reserves, leaving him at half capacity, he grunted at the effort. He thought, damn, those clones pack quite a punch. Naruto muttered, Shino, report. His chakra levels were in no better shape, and the strain of carrying the shield was starting to wear him down. The Aburame gave a nod. The strategy worked, but there were a few that went awry. One of Sasuke's targets survived and he was the one who attacked your shield. Don't worry though, my insects are draining his chakra so he should dissipate right about. Outside the shield, the clone splattered back into a pool of water. Now, Kiba, Hinata, and Sakura's target was killed as well. They didn't hit it at first, but the constant barrage was able to reach them in the end. The rest of the clones should be running on empty right now, so that left the one on the lake, the real Zabuza. Naruto gave a nod. It was not too soon, and he was happy that his plan had worked. He gave Sakura a look. Sakura, how good are you with genjutsu? I know you've been studying and practicing the scroll that Kakashi-sensei gave you. Right. Yes. How did you know about that? Never mind. Can you cast a genjutsu over Kakashi-sensei and tell him what we did and that all he need to worry about is the Zabuza on the lake? Sakura stammered, unsure of her ability to do this. I can try, I guess. Naruto calmly and confidently said, don't worry Sakura, you can do this. You're a strong kunoichi, you just need the right motivation, that's all. He also gave the pink-haired kunoichi his genuine smile. Sakura nodded, blushing at the word. Naruto's words of encouragement gave her courage, so she inhaled deeply and composed herself. Concentrating on her goal, she hurried through hand seals to activate the illusion in her target, Kakashi. She let go of her technique after completing the seals. Demonic Hell Viewing. Illusion Art. Technically speaking, Sakura's genjutsu was an offensive illusion that revealed the target's worst fears. She can, however, sufficiently overwhelm the neural signals to alter the illusion as she sees fit because of her remarkable chakra control. For the benefit of his pupil, Kakashi was able to obtain this technique from Kurenai herself. Kakashi's vision abruptly changed to a forest outside of Konoha while he was on guard, waiting for Zabuza to attack. Genjutsu, Kakashi asked himself, but Sakura appeared in front of him before he could break the illusion. Sakura's illusion asked, Kakashi-sensei. A startled Kakashi questioned, Sakura, did you cast the genjutsu? Yes, I did, but I can't hold this for long. Please listen. Sakura explained Naruto's strategy and all of the events that took place behind the mist. Kakashi was astounded by his student's tactic, which successfully eliminated every one of Zabuza's clones while safeguarding the customer. Only he is capable of such a brilliant display of strategy. Sakura vanished after saying, I got it. Don't worry Sakura, release the technique now. Me and Kurenai will take care of everything. Sakura, obviously worn out from using the genjutsu, let go of the technique and sagged on the ground back in the dome. Hinata took out a solider pill right away and gave it to her teammate with the pink hair, who accepted it with gratitude and put it in her mouth. Naruto addressed his worry after her breathing returned to normal. What happened, Sakura? Did everything go as planned? Naruto inquired. Yes, the girl said, nodding. Although I was exhausted by the technique, I was able to effectively communicate the message. Thanks very much, Sakura, Naruto said, nodding. You see, Sakura blushed at the compliment once more but said nothing. I told you that you can do it and I wasn't wrong. After 5 minutes, the sounds of battle subsided and the mist cleared, but Naruto narrowed his eyes in rage at what they saw, which made the genin team wide-eyed with fear. The group inside the shield tensed as they heard the sounds of battle all around them, including clangs caused by metal clashing with metal. Kurenai was at the shore, bleeding from a minor cut on her shoulder, but the blood loss was obviously affecting her. Zabuza was holding Kakashi in a prison of water on the lake, and he was pulled from his observation when Kakashi yelled out from his prison. Sasuke, Naruto, Tazuna and the rest of your team, I want you to run. Kakashi yelled in desperation. Sensei, Sakura screamed. This is a direction. Go with the client, Kakashi demanded. Oh, no, Kakashi is not possible. I'll take pleasure in slaughtering your team in front of you. I'm reminded of the good old days by this. He grinned at the genins, shocked expressions and said, Don't worry, kids. Blood is flowing and people are screaming in terror. Cammy will be with you shortly. However, I believe I'll spare the women. They will undoubtedly sell for a high price. That pink-haired girl would be a great addition to Gato's slaves, and Kuma would love to get their hands on the Byakugan. He was cut off by a swore Kakashi. Avoid Zabuza. The last part should not have been said by you. What do you mean? From inside his prison, Kakashi was told to look in front of you. If you looked closely, you could see that Zabuza's words were making him perspire. When Zabuza looked back at the shore, he saw something that made him stare in amazement and terror, and it scared the living daylights out of him. Despite his teammates' protests, Naruto lost it when he heard Zabuza's claim about what he intended to do with his female teammates. He dropped the shield that was shielding them and walked out in front of the huddle. In a fit of rage, Naruto activated his Kamagen, and his elemental orbs appeared, the only difference being that they were twice as big as the normal ones because of Naruto's intense rage, and he strode to the lake's edge, glaring at a staring Zabuza with a glare of hatred. Why didn't you inform me that you were with that boy, Kakashi? Well, it was now Kakashi's turn to be perplexed. Why did you not inform me that one of your genins is the Kamagen no Namikaze? Zabuza yelled in terror. However, Naruto's icy voice interrupted Kakashi before he could inquire about his jailer's topic, Kamagen no Namikaze. Zabuza, I see that they have given me a name. With a chilly tone, Naruto said. Making a hand seal and calling forth 10 clones in front of him, he mustered the last of his courage. So what, kid? It's only a name. What the bingo book says about you doesn't seem true to me. I'm an A rank and you're just a B rank. Zabuza gave the order for his clones to attack the blonde genin, who appeared to be motionless on the lakeshore. The rest of Zabuza's clones managed to surround him and direct their attacks on various parts of Naruto's body while he was distracted, but before they could reach him, Naruto slammed his hands on the ground where spikes made of earth shot out of the ground that skewered the rest of the clones, which turned into water. 2 of Zabuza's clones ran forward and slashed at the blonde, but a wall of water suddenly materialized in front of them, throwing the 2 of them away. You know, Zabuza, you're the second ever to see and feel this attack firsthand, Naruto said, raising one of his arms, palm pointing towards Zabuza, in preparation for his attack. The 5 floating elemental orbs formed a circle in front of him and began to spin, getting faster with each rotation until they were just a blur. The Sandame, who could defend himself, was the first. The attack I sent him, however, was obviously a trial run, if you will. However, you will receive the finished version of my attack. Eat this, Zabuza. Elemental 5 point drill. Naruto unleashed all of his control over his elemental orbs, signaling the beginning of the attack, after shouting his technique. In a powerful elemental drill that was directly aimed at Zabuza, the orbs released a thick but extremely compressed stream of water, earth, fire, wind, and lightning that twisted together. Inside his prison, Kakashi was perspiring and hoping that he wouldn't be hit by Naruto's use of his ultimate technique. With no other option, Zabuza leapt out of the way and fervently prayed that he would not be struck by the attack. Although his prayer was answered, he felt as though he was in a blender because of the force of the backlash when the attack struck the water, which caused a massive tidal wave of water to knock him back. Fortunately, Kakashi was still under the influence of the prison, so he was not hit by the shockwave until the water prison subsided and the remainder of the shockwave threw him back to shore without any fanfare, aside from a bleeding kunai. Zabuza was not as fortunate. The force was so strong that it made him lose his breath. He was certain that the bones in his arms and legs, as well as some of his ribs, were broken by the pressurized water that smashed into him. To make matters worse, he nearly lost consciousness after colliding with one of the trees in the clearing. When he looked up, he saw that Naruto was approaching him calmly and directly, his elemental orbs swirling around him as though he was eager to give his enemy their master's punishment. Naruto said, "Any last words, Zabuza-san?" in a chilly tone that made him shudder. Kill me, kid. Why, you are, indeed, powerful. My only regret is that I can't kill the guy who wrote your information on the bingo book. That bastard deserves to be killed for giving out false information about you. Naruto merely regarded him with amusement. He raised his hands and was about to deliver his death blow when an ice mirror appeared next to Zabuza. A masked person quickly took him and returned to the mirror that dissolved into a puddle of water. Zabuza-san, the information on that bingo book of yours is 2 years old. It hasn't been updated since I started training. In fact, the information there about me and my ability is seriously lacking. But for now, I will have to say goodbye Zabuza-san. Naruto gaped in surprise that Zabuza had escaped before he could murder him. His body gave out from exhaustion before he could come up with anything else. He heard someone call his name before his Kamagen deactivated and went unconscious. Gazing out the window, Kakashi considered the events of the previous few days. With the exception of Naruto, all of the genins are spending the day recuperating on the grounds and ensuring that Tazuna's home is adequately secured against external threats. After Tsunami had bandaged Kurenai's wounds, she was recuperating in her room. It's fortunate that Zabuza's wound wasn't too deep because she would have needed more than a little rest to recover. The one-eyed Junin's mental state was negatively impacted by everything that transpired during the battle. Yes, he initially held his own, but despite Naruto's helpful plan to assist them, he eventually became exhausted. It was a pretty straightforward plan. Zabuza would move in for the kill, but Kurenai would use genjutsu to trap him and divert his attention. Yes, the plan was straightforward, but that's why it all went horribly wrong. Like the demon he was named after, the demon of the mist fought. The combination of his strength, speed, and stamina made his adversaries tremble. Zabuza's plan with the mist negated everything he threw at him, even with his Sharingan. Zabuza must have been underestimated by him. He gave a headshake. No, he was overconfident. It was too late before he realized. The outcome of the battle demonstrated that the strength he had developed while serving in Anbu was significantly eroding. Kurenai's overestimation caused her to miss her opportunity to defend herself from the clone behind her as she focused on her technique, resulting in her being slashed at the shoulder. In the adjacent room, one of his students is experiencing severe chakra exhaustion as a result of his overestimation. His overestimation nearly cost his team members their lives. With a sigh, Kakashi got out of bed and left the room. Kurenai was conscious and contemplating. The conflict with Zabuza opened her eyes. Because she overestimated her abilities, she lost badly and nearly lost her life. She was regarded as a genjutsu prodigy, excluding the Uchiha and Kurama clans' innate abilities. She was able to gain and master a great deal of genjutsu techniques that allowed her to advance in the Konoha shinobi system despite not having a bloodline. She has a page in the bingo book as an A-rank ninja because of her legendary abilities in mind attacks and illusions. But that did her absolutely no good. Her role in the battle was straightforward. In order to pin Zabuza down and allow Kakashi to finish, she was meant to cast genjutsu after genjutsu. Until that clone got past her defenses and nearly grabbed her right arm by the shoulder, the plan was foolproof. She came to the realization that her overestimation of her abilities nearly destroyed her. Really, it was an easy slip. She forgot that genjutsu has its own weaknesses because she put too much trust in her abilities. Frontline combatants were not genjutsu masters. They were meant to assist the frontline fighters in eliminating the enemy by putting on their illusions from a distance. During combat, genjutsu practitioners are expected to have strong peer protection. She picked a group of trackers for this reason, keeping them one step ahead of her adversaries to render them helpless. She overestimated herself, though. Looking out the window, she turned her head. There were white puffy clouds scattered here and there in the blue sky above. She let out a sigh. She was interrupted from her thoughts by a knock on her door. Kakashi left his room and headed directly to Kurenai's. He understood that if they wanted to survive this, they had to prepare for the rematch of the battle with Zabuza in a few days. Since Zabuza already knew what he was up against, he was certain that this battle would be more fierce than the first. When he arrived at Kurenai's room, he knocked and waited for the proprietor to grant him entry. Kurenai's muffled voice said, "Come in." Kakashi went directly to the bed where Kurenai was lying after opening the door. The headboard served as a backrest for her as she sat. As evidence of the injuries she sustained in the fight with the demon of the mist, her shoulder was heavily bandaged all the way down to her elbows. She was staring at him calmly, but he could see the obvious uncertainty in her eyes. Kurenai appears to have been impacted by the battle as well. He let out a sigh. He said to the red-eyed Junin, "Hello Kurenai. How are you doing?" She gave a shrug. "Doing well, I suppose. With the wounds I have, it would take me 2 days to fully heal and another day or so to get my strength back to peak performance. How about you?" With a phony smile, he said, "Good. My chakra level is almost back to full so I can now get out of bed and walk around." For a while, both were silent as they tried to think of something appropriate to say to each other. Kakashi let out a sigh. He might as well finish this. "I'm sorry," Kakashi said. Kurenai looked out the window and snapped her head back to Kakashi. She was truly perplexed. Sorry. Why in the world are you sorry? He started to say, I wasn't able to protect you during the battle. Our roles were set but I wasn't able to, but Kurenai stopped him with a raised hand. No need to apologize, Kakashi. The battle was an eye-opener for me. I'm a genjutsu mistress, for crying out loud, so standing in the middle of an active battlefield is a breach in protocol. I should have hidden myself while you draw Zabuza out and attack from there, but I got overconfident with my skills that I made myself defenseless. I overestimated my skills and that almost got me killed, explained Kurenai with a defeated tone. Kakashi gave nod. Fine, but I'm still sorry. I know about your specialization's weakness and I should have taken it into account. Same as you, I also overestimated my skills that almost killed us in our team. Kakashi sighed. Kurenai laughed. You know what's funny? Here we are, the Junins of Konohagakure no Sato was kicked so hard in the ass that we both landed on the bed. In truth, both of us would be dead by now if not for your student. Kakashi laughed at the irony as well. Yes, how could I forget? Naruto definitely saved us that day, but the rest of the team also contributed equally as well. But if it weren't for his plan, everyone in that clearing would be either dead or permanently incapacitated. With a worried expression on her face, Kurenai inquired, how is he, by the way? He's okay. No wounds or bruises, just plain chakra exhaustion. He really strained himself during the battle. Holding the shield in place, an ingenious piece of work if I do say so myself, protected everyone, came up with a sound plan to help us, and kicking Zabuza in 3 places at once. Indeed, he really made an impact out there, didn't he? That he did. What he did was amazing. For the past 3 days since we left Konoha, Naruto has been displaying skills that far surpassed his peers. First, his bloodline, which is versatile and powerful, his sealing skills that could rival Jiraiya-sama, his tactical mind and leadership skills, and not to mention those useful summon of his. Kakashi laughed loudly. His expression darkened as he said, he is incredible, isn't he? But he did it all by himself. Kurenai looked at him bewildered. What do you mean he did it all by himself? Aren't you supposed his Junin sensei? Don't tell me you didn't know any of his skill set. Honestly, I don't. There is a lot about Naruto I don't know. It's not because he didn't share it with me. He paused before responding. It's because that I haven't been a sensei for him. Kurenai asked sharply, what do you mean, Kakashi? Knowing where this was going, Kakashi let out a sigh. I already know Naruto since I was still in Anbu. In fact, I was either his bodyguard or his sparring partner. During the day of the team assignment, he recognized me and introduced himself to me with cheer and happiness. However, after the genin test, it all disappeared until to the point that I don't see any glimpse of it in his face. Again, Kakashi, explain. Stop speaking in riddles. Get to the point. Fine, I'll explain. You already know the council and the village's view of Sasuke, right? A bewildered Kurenai questioned, the last loyal Uchiha. Of course, who wouldn't know about him? What does Sasuke have to do with it? Simple. After the genin test, the civilian council called me to a meeting and ordered me to teach the last loyal Uchiha to make him strong for the village. Kakashi grumbled. She said, so, isn't it normal for a Junin sensei to teach their charges? But she continued after noticing Kakashi's gloomy expression. There is more to this, isn't there? Yes, they want me to concentrate 100% of my time with Sasuke and disregard 2 of my charges. Heck, even Councilman Haruno told me to forget his daughter and only asked to give her some books to read. What? As he looked down at the final section, Kakashi said, it's true. To be honest with you, I would have loved to teach them all equally. It is my code after all, but because of the council's noose tied around my neck, I was forced to follow their orders. Depression hung over him like a plague. Kurenai let out a sigh. This was not the first instance of the civilian council causing chaos behind everyone's back. The worst of all is that neither the Hokage nor the Shinobi Council have the authority to stop it. She was well versed in politics, and she found it disgusting that the civilian council was gradually eroding the village's power from the Shinobi Council and Hokage. Even worse, the Hokage permitted all of this to occur. Kurenai hoped her Junin partner had a plan, so she asked, so what are you planning to do now? Kakashi gave a headshake. For the first time in my life, I felt powerless. I don't know what to do. The 2 Junins simply hung their heads in dismay. At the moment, Team 8 was talking about yesterday's battle in Tazuna's backyard. For the 3 new genins, it was intense. Compared to the Academy's history books, it was unquestionably different. They aren't ready for it because of all the glorification tales of famous shinobi. They would have been killed, they told themselves honestly. As usual, Hinata had Naruto on her mind. Since the academy, she has always admired him. She was drawn to him because he exuded kindness and strength. Before developing into a full-fledged crush, the admiration quickly transformed into infatuation. She was constantly examining, evaluating, and admiring him, whether or not she was Byakugan. She couldn't help it, even though it was stalker-like of her to act in the shadows. Kiba considered the conflict and reached an indisputable conclusion. He and his teammate came dangerously close to death. Zabuza would have torn them to pieces if it weren't for their teammate with the blonde hair. He was overcome with uncontrollable fear that he would die that day when he witnessed both Kakashi and Kurenai-sensei rendered helpless in combat. However, when he witnessed Naruto take control of the situation and, to put it simply, kick Zabuza's ass from here to the moon, his fear transformed into awe. Although he would never acknowledge it in public, he knew deep down that Naruto was stronger than he was. That was demonstrated by the battle. Shino was also lost in thought, but his attention was on the result of the fight rather than the fight itself. He was unable to ignore the obvious fact that one boy, no man, was responsible for their survival. The only reasonable explanation is that Naruto saved them. Since there was nothing about the blonde genin that caught his attention, he initially chose to ignore him. Yes, he did respect him as a person, but nothing else. But the bug user was greatly impressed when Naruto took control of the fight with his quick-thinking plan. The plan was carefully considered and allowed for flexibility in case things became unmanageable. Additionally, it appeared that Naruto was aware of their skill set, which allowed him to come up with a strategy to help them escape the situation. He was more complex than first appears. This merits further investigation, and Naruto has earned more than just his respect going forward. Hinata's words broke the silence that surrounded the three. Hinata stammered, "Ashino-san, why did you call us out here?" Kiba was stroking Akamaru, who was sleeping on his lap, when he said, "Yeah Shino, is this a team meeting or something?" With a nod, Shino positioned his sunglasses on the bridge of his nose. "I called you here to discuss the battle. It was intense, wasn't it? I really believed that I was going to die when I saw our sensei all bloodied on the ground," said a glum Kiba. "It was thanks to Naruto-san though. His strategy worked and was able to win the battle for our side," Shino replied. Both Kiba and Hinata nodded. An excited Kiba woke Akamaru, who then fell back asleep. "Man, Naruto sure kicked ass. Did you see his moves? They were amazing," Kiba exclaimed. "Yes, it seems Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto is the strongest among us, as well as the rest of Rookie 9. My only question is why he didn't show such competence during the academy years," replied Shino. "I think I know," Hinata muttered. Kiba and Shino gazed at her, anticipating her next move. Hinata went on, realizing they were watching her. "I don't really know anything really about Naruto-kun, but I have observed him during the academy. It seems that he hid his skills from us, only bringing them out when needed. He is calm, collected, and smart. No one ever calls him a genius, but I can see that he is one, but he kept it well hidden." Shino gave a nod. "Yes, there is no other logical explanation. But the question is, why?" Kiba acknowledged. "I think Naruto hid his skills as a shinobi should." At this, Shino arched an eyebrow. "Really? Please explain." "It's simple really. We all know that shinobis are masters of deception, and I think Naruto took that to heart. We all know that he is strong, and it is only obvious that he knows that he is strong too. So I think he hid his skills back in the academy because he doesn't want to announce his skills to his potential enemies and not making everyone else feel inferior," stated Kiba. He recalled the moment when Naruto was amiable with every student in the class. Whenever he could, he assisted them. He never said a harsh word or made any sarcastic remarks. He took the exact opposite action. He spent time forming friendships and offering support to those in need. He had to fight to the death before he realized that. "You have a point there, Kiba-san. But I don't understand his thoughts on the matter," argued Shino. "Shino-san, I think the only person who can answer that question is Naruto-kun himself. I mean, it is not right for us to pry into his life, but if he wants to share it with us then it is okay," murmured Hinata. Shino gave a nod. He wouldn't spy on Naruto out of disdain. Yes, when the time is appropriate, he will ask him. Sakura was thinking deeply. She was afraid of the fight with Zabuza. No, she was afraid of it. She chose this life, so why is she scared to accept it? She watched as his teammate worked on his taijutsu. The academy's most attractive student, Uchiha Sasuke, is a handsome, enigmatic, and manly prodigy from a strong clan. Indeed, Uchiha Sasuke was her desire and crush, but why isn't she experiencing any of that at the moment as she gazes at him? The question from Naruto reverberated within her head. What drives you to develop your strength? Sakura only had one reason for enrolling in the shinobi program, if she were being completely honest with herself, to be with Uchiha Sasuke. She passed every test, proving that she was intelligent. She will give you a textbook response if you ask her anything from the book. She wanted to impress Sasuke, so she asked Naruto for help in becoming stronger. It's as easy as that. She was resolved to fortify herself for him. Why does it all sound so phony now, though? She witnessed Naruto take command of the situation and risk his life to save them during the battle. In order to help them escape unscathed, he even put aside his hatred for Sasuke and asked for his assistance. She was appreciative of his shield because she could tell by the look on his face that it took a lot of work to keep it up. When she saw the enormous sword approaching them, she nearly screamed, but was startled when it bounced off the shield Naruto had made innocuously. When the sword struck the dome, he witnessed Naruto unintentionally release a grunt. He was in pain, and she had no idea how to help. She came to see that being a shinobi is about more than just reading books and winning over your teachers or your crush. To be honest, the battle opened her eyes. Kill or be killed are the 4 words that best describe shinobi battles. She was frightened by that. The time had come. Suddenly, determination burned in her eyes. It was time for another conversation with Naruto. She'll answer him correctly this time. Naruto's headache split when he woke up. His muscles hurt every time he moved, and he moaned. The furniture and other items around him gave him the impression that he was in someone else's room. His observation was cut short by a voice in his head. "Glad to see that you're awake, Kyuubi," Naruto inquired. Kyuubi sarcastically remarked, "No, it's the Tooth Fairy." "Duh, who do you think can talk to you in your mind?" A sheepish Naruto said, "Sorry, I'm still out of it I guess." "What happened?" "Well, it seems that you don't remember. I'll summarize it for you, Kit. You kicked Zabuza's ass. Now that battle was something. A bit excessive, but it was still good nonetheless. It could have used more blood though if you asked me." He added the final sentence out of habit. Feeling insulted that his abilities weren't noteworthy for the great Kyuubi no Kitsune sealed in his gut, Naruto sulked. "Well, excuse me for being hyped up in the moment of battle. I didn't mean it as an insult, brat. Anyway, you were about to finish Zabuza off when that mysterious kid came in to save him, then you passed out. The dark-haired girl patched you up real good and the dog boy carried all the way to your client's house and here you are." "How long was I out?" 2 days. Naruto was now paying attention. "What? Why did it take so long for me to recover from simple chakra exhaustion? I usually just fill it back up in the matter of hours," asked a shocked Naruto. In response to the outburst, Kyuubi simply rolled his eyes. "Sure, Kit, that is what usually happens when you go into chakra exhaustion. But you did something stupid and amazing at the same time during the battle." Kyuubi replied with a chuckle. "Stupid and amazing at the same time? Now you're confusing me." Naruto wasn't sure whether the fox was praising or insulting him. "Stupid humans. Okay, let me explain it to you. When you disengaged the shield and battled Zabuza, your chakra reserves were already less of an 8 of your overall reserves. That would make you an average genin in chakra level. With that amount, you could only sustain your bloodline for about 10 minutes or so. However, because of your blind rage, you pushed out more chakra than what you currently have. You overworked the Shinigami seal on your stomach and increased the conversion of my chakra to your chakra. You didn't just suffer from chakra exhaustion, you suffered from chakra overload. You were lucky that you didn't blow up," Kyuubi explained with an exasperated growl. When the sudden surge of chakra from him to the seal startled him, he was watching the battle with interest. He could feel more and more chakra entering Naruto's chakra circulator system as it emerged from him through the seal. He can only watch, hoping that the boy's action won't kill them both, because he has little control over the boy's body. Kyuubi only ever experienced fear for his life once, and he didn't want to experience it ever again. At this point, Naruto was trembling. "Okay, I got the stupid part. What about the amazing part?" He was unaware of his near-death experience back there. He expressed gratitude to Kami for his survival. "Well, chakra overload have 2 possible outcomes. 1, you blow up and erase everything around you from the discharge. Imagine 50 exploding tags in a single place. Boom. Everyone turns to ash. However, You suffered from the second case, you expanded your chakra coils. Kyuubi took a moment to add a drama. I would like to congratulate you in successfully absorbing 2 taels worth of my chakra, making your overall reserves twice of that of a cage-level shinobi added to your previous one. So now, you are a walking power plant of chakra. Good job, you idiot. If you put me through that again, I'm going to flood you with so much chakra that you will light up like a miniature sun, threatened the enormous beast with a deep growl. Naruto swallowed. He knew about chakra exhaustion, of course, because the old man had warned him about it, but he didn't understand the concept of chakra overload. Whoa. Back up a bit. What did you mean I increased my chakra reserves? How did that happen? So you want to get technical, I see. I guess I can humor you. Naruto growled angrily. Get on with it. Naruto snarled at the obnoxious fox, saying, sheesh, humans are so impatient. Well, considering your puny lifespan, I guess you humans have to do everything in a hurry. Kyuubi smiled. To give you the technical explanation on what happened, with the sudden influx of my converted chakra into your system by unknowingly getting it from the seal, you forced your already impressive chakra coil to expand. The massive influx of chakra forced your chakra coils to expand twice its size to accommodate the tidal surge of chakra flowing through your system. It is a permanent deal. Once it happens, your chakra coil expands permanently and stays that way. The amazing thing about the whole phenomenon is you still haven't reached your peak yet and your coils will continue to expand. I estimate that your overall chakra capacity when you reach your prime would be somewhere in between 4 to 5 taels worth of my own. You can even take on the 5-tailed gobi if you really wanted to. Impressive. You are either suicidal or a lucky bastard. So what happens now? All I can say is that it will take some time for you to get used to your new reserves. Your chakra control is shot. I would say you are back to genin level, but with shadow clone training, I'm sure you can get it back to where it was. I guess this means I'm back to square one, moaned Naruto. This mission will take a long time. Kid, be grateful. That or you blow up and then you meet Kami. In my opinion, the former is preferable. Gee, thanks for the vote of confidence, you sadistic fox. My goal is to please. I'm going to take a nap now, if you don't mind. I'm exhausted from controlling the growth of your coil and absorbing 2 taels worth of my chakra. Good night for now. Don't bother me if it's not important. Kyuubi then broke the mind link, leaving Naruto to think alone. Since he wasn't completely recovered, he went back to sleep in the hopes that everything would be okay the next day. 3 days after the battle with Zabuza, the scent of delectable food rose from beneath the house, and Naruto shook himself awake, looked out the window, and guessed that it was already noon. It appeared that he had overslept and woken up the day after his talk with Kyuubi, and he threw off the blanket and shook his head, blushing when he realized that he was nearly nude except for his boxers. Thoughts of Hinata or Sakura crossed his mind, but the thought of Kurenai taking off his clothes and torturing him while he was unconscious turned him into a tomato. Shit, I wonder who undressed me. In a desperate attempt to shake the perverted thought from his mind, he shook his head. Damn it, I'm beginning to feel the effects of the old man's shady mind. After getting out of bed, he noticed that his equipment was neatly folded on the lone table in the center of the room, so he went to the bathroom to take a quick bath before putting it on and enjoying the sensation of it on his skin. Upon exiting the house, he discovered that he was on the 2nd floor, so he followed the hallway downstairs and followed the delicious smell to the kitchen, where he saw a lovely middle-aged woman in a pink dress with jet black hair who was busy cooking and didn't notice his arrival. He coughed to get her attention. I see that you're awake, the woman said, turning swiftly and smiling warmly at him. It's been 3 days since you went to sleep. How do you feel? All right. Who are you, miss? I'm Naruto. How impolite of me. Tsunami is my name. I am already aware of your identity. I heard all about you from my father. The woman introducing herself as Tsunami smiled warmly at him, and he cheerfully returned the smile. You are part of the team my father hired to protect him while he completes the bridge. You're the daughter of Tazuna. How in the world did that drunkard get so lucky? Said Naruto, looking dumbfounded. He couldn't believe that this lovely woman was that old man's daughter. Anyway, I guess you're hungry right now. 3 days of no food and all, Tsunami said, laughing when she saw the look of disbelief on his face when she introduced herself. She gets that all the time. She pointed to the table and said, why don't you sit down and I'll get you something to eat. Naruto's stomach rumbled and nodded, and he went to the table and sat down, looking around and noticing that the place was very cozy, simple yet with a sense of contentment and love that made him feel at home. Where is everyone? Are they okay? Asked Naruto, his voice laced with concern. Tsunami replied, your teammates are out right now. The one-eyed sensei of yours told me that they were going to do some training, as she took a plate out of the cabinet and began to arrange food on it. The red-eyed sensei, whose name I believe was Kurenai, has fully recovered from her injury. The others simply rested for a day in order to recover. She put the food in front of Naruto and said, eat first before you join them, okay? Kurenai-san actually just woke up this morning after resting for 3 days and joined the rest out in the woods for training right away. It's not healthy for you to go 3 days without eating anything. The act may not seem like much, but Naruto felt a sudden pain in his heart as he nodded his gratitude and began eating the food that Tsunami had brought him. This must be how it feels to have a mother that cares for you, he thought. The food was decent, and although he was a competent cook, he was nothing in comparison to Tsunami's culinary skills. He considered asking her for some recipes, but he decided to wait until the commotion had subsided. When he finished the plate in record time, he discovered that his stomach was growling and he was hungry, so he asked for seconds with an embarrassed smile. Tsunami simply gave him a warm smile, filled his plate again, and assured him that there was still plenty for everyone. After finishing his second plate, he thanked Tsunami for the meal and headed out of the house toward the woods. He sighed, released a large chakra pulse, and tried to sense his team's familiar chakra signature after leaving the house, forgetting to ask for directions to their training location. The pulse returned, indicating that Team 7 and 8 were precisely 500 meters west of the house, so he took a deep breath and made his way there. As he walked, Naruto was busy assessing the damage to his overall control caused by his current chakra reserves. The amount of chakra he currently possesses is incredible. As Kyuubi said, it is enormous. He could easily dwarf the old man's level or anyone in Konoha for that matter. All he needs to do now is determine how much practice he needs to do to regain his previous control. He lifted his hand to the side and used his chakra to create his trusted blade, which materialized instantly but was noticeably larger than expected. It was about 8 feet long instead of 4 feet. I'm out of control. As he tried to recall the various chakra control exercises he could use to fix the issue, Naruto cursed, this might take a while to get used to. He let the blade fade and sighed once more, saying, this is going to take a lot of work. As he got closer to the clearing where his teammates were supposed to be training, he heard a lot of noise and discovered that they were performing tree-walking chakra control. Sakura and Hinata appear to have mastered the exercise since both of their specialties involved chakra control. From the looks of things, Kakashi and Kurenai told them to run up and down to improve their reserves to add to their basic strength. Sasuke, Shino, and Kiba were busy running up the tree, but they disengaged when the chakra to their feet was cut off and tried again. Naruto entered the clearing and said, hey everyone. What is going on? Naruto, you're awake, and, how have you been? Were all shouted simultaneously throughout the clearing, and Naruto flinched at the volume. Hey, hello, guys, calm down, I'm doing fine. After 3 days of sleep, my chakra returned to its peak. What did I miss, then? As usual, Naruto asked with a smile. Nothing much. Kurenai-sensei and Kakashi-sensei wanted us to be trained since they think that Zabuza will come back to finish the job. Kiba sighed. So what have you guys been doing to get stronger? It was a good plan, Naruto said, nodding. Get stronger while the enemy heals, then hope to defeat them during the rematch. To help them better control their chakra, I asked them to perform the tree-walking exercise. We'll proceed to water walk if they receive it on time. At the moment, the boys are still working on becoming proficient tree walkers. Before going on to the next level, the girls continue to perform the exercise even though they have already mastered it in order to build up their meager reserves. You can join them now that you're here, Kurenai said. Excellent, Naruto cheered. Good timing too, since I got a slight boost of chakra after the battle, and my chakra control is shot. Kurenai and Kakashi were taken aback by the revelation, while the others simply looked puzzled. Kakashi claimed that Naruto was already a chakra powerhouse. If he received a boost, who knows how much more he has in reserve now. How did it happen, Naruto? Even Sasuke was listening in on the conversation. In order to conceal Kyuubi's involvement for the time being, Naruto chose to disclose only a portion of his condition. I believe I overloaded my coils during the battle, but I'm not entirely sure. According to what I read in the book, I experienced chakra overload. In essence, I poured so much chakra into my coils that they had to enlarge. According to the theory, I may have unintentionally opened one of the Hachiman gates when I was furious. My coils are now permanently double the size of the previous ones, and the entire experience has increased my chakra. He winced at the last part, genuinely grateful that he didn't blow up as Kyuubi described the entire technical aspect of the phenomenon. Well, if I didn't get it, the other result would have been devastating. What are you saying? Shino inquired. Well, I was fortunate to experience the uncommon occurrence during chakra overload. But if I hadn't been lucky like Kami, I would have blown up and taken you all with me. The idea made everyone shudder. It wasn't a pleasant way to go. The overly enthusiastic Kakashi suggested, now that everything is explained and Naruto is up and running, then why don't you guys continue with the exercise? Naruto was the only genin who did not groan. Naruto was clearly having trouble with the tree walking exercise. Yes, he had already mastered it, but having to do it again with even more chakra coursing through his body made it a little more difficult. When he channeled too much chakra, he was blown off the tree, splintering the trunk, and he crashed on the ground, leaving an imprint of his body. Everyone tried to contain their laughter, but Sasuke just gave him a smug grin, assuming that Naruto was lying about what he had said earlier. Well, that infuriated him even more. He got to his feet, brushed the dirt from his clothes, glared at the tree, sealed it with one hand, and yelled. Bunshin Kage no Jutsu. When 100 Naruto shadow clones appeared on the clearing, everyone's laughter vanished, as did Sasuke's haughty grin. All right, boys, you are familiar with the procedure. Choose a tree, then hop to it, ordered a furious Naruto. Following a loud, yes boss, yell from the opposite side of the wave, the whole clearing was crowded with Narutos performing the tree walking exercise. Some were blown off, some were plodding up slowly, and some were falling off, as had happened to Naruto earlier. It was a hilarious scene, but for the genins and junins, it was truly amazing. What the hell did you do? With a look of astonishment on his face upon seeing 100 Narutos, Kiba yelled. What? Naruto asked, turning to face Kiba and glaring at him. What are those items and why are they interfering with your workout? Kiba pointed an accusing finger at the busy clones and asked. Oh, those are clones of the shadow. Only the Hokage is aware of this Konoha forbidden technique. My dad left me a letter with a training schedule that included it, so I learned it during my training. Because it takes a great deal of chakra to make one, the technique was prohibited. It's not an illusion. All of them are sturdy. The original Naruto simply rubbed his sore head and apologized to the arrogant clone, but Naruto showed by slapping one of the clones on the head, who returned it, while glaring at the original. You see, firm. Shadow clones also have the added benefit of passing on their knowledge to the original after they dispel, which makes them ideal for information gathering, infiltration, espionage, and, for people with large chakra reserves like me, training. In this manner, I can finish the workout fast and have 100 people have the same experience. However, I don't receive the physical training, I only receive the mental portion. Nice, huh? Naruto cheerfully clarified. Sasuke rushed in Naruto's direction upon hearing this. Dobi, I insist that you teach me that method. A very angry and envious Sasuke demanded, I need to gain power and kill him. Everyone was surprised that Sasuke had made such a sudden demand for a technique, and Kurenai was glaring daggers at him while Kakashi simply shook his head. When Sasuke insisted on teaching Naruto his technique, the blonde raised an eyebrow and said, I think it is time to bring him down a peg or two. He smirked and turned back to the smug Uchiha, saying, Sure Sasuke, I'll be happy to teach you this technique. Kakashi was about to forbid him from doing it because of the danger, but he stopped him with a raised hand. The first step of this technique is to have the same chakra reserves that I do, he said. Do you, then? Dobi, of course, I'm more powerful than you. Now teach me the method. Sasuke was behaving like a child who wanted candy for breakfast, and Naruto simply gave him a quirky smile. Yes, let's first check to see if you possess the chakra needed for this method. Using this method, I can summon thousands of clones with ease and without getting tired. Naruto performed a single-handed seal and said, if you can match my chakra, then I will teach you. I think Kakashi-sensei can do a round 2 with his current chakra. I'll even demonstrate my chakra level for you here. Naruto then let go of his coils and willed his chakra to come forth, all of it. At first, nothing happened, but then a pillar of blue chakra, covered from head to toe with a powerful blue chakra that reached the heavens, erupted from his body, nearly blowing everyone off the field. He gazed at a stunned Sasuke while continuing to release his chakra, saying, So, Sasuke, do the same seal I did and pump out as much chakra as you can. This is how much chakra I have in my body, as you can see. So that we can compare, why don't you release yours? I'll teach you the Kage Bunshin if you match or surpass mine, a smirking Naruto said. The amount of chakra that Naruto released was more powerful than that of a cage, and everyone, with the exception of Sasuke, thought he was insane. They all shook their heads and waited for the inevitable. Following the same hand seal as Naruto, Sasuke released all the chakra in his body, believing that he could easily surpass Naruto in chakra levels. After all, he is a Uchiha, so it is only natural that he is the best, but what transpired was disappointing. When Naruto saw that Sasuke's light blue chakra was erupting from his body, he decided to comment because it was nothing compared to what Naruto was giving out, even though it was easily Chunin level. Look at Sasuke. You lack the necessary chakra to perform this technique. You will undoubtedly faint from exhaustion if you perform Kage Bunshin at this point in your development. Heck, with the chakra supply you have, even if you were to manage one clone, it wouldn't last 10 seconds. Since you must use as much chakra to create and maintain the clones, Kage Bunshin is not a straightforward technique. After 5 more minutes of holding his ground, Sasuke stopped the exercise and collapsed to the ground, struggling to breathe. Recalling all the chakra he had released, Naruto simply grinned. He glanced back at the gasping teenager before making his way to an empty tree. Just remember this, Sasuke. All my techniques are part of the Namikaze Uzumaki clan, so there is no way you can force me to teach anyone. I will teach who I want, when I want, and you have no say in the matter. An hour later, to the envious astonishment of Shino, Kiba, and Sasuke, a content Naruto was able to regain some of his former chakra control by becoming proficient in tree walking. In order to assist his teammates, including the sulky Uchiha, he made 2 more clones and instructed the other 100 to go to the lake and practice water walking. He told Shino, Kiba, and Sasuke that their chakra distribution was incorrect. He suggested that they lie on the ground at the base of the tree with their feet parallel to the trunk rather than sprinting upward. He instructed them to place a foot against the tree and use chakra until they sense that the foot is actually adhering to the wood. He suggested that they cut off the chakra and then reapply it. Following their mastery of this exercise phase, he gave them instructions to gradually rise from their position while keeping their composure to improve their ability to concentrate. The 3 boys ascended the tree slowly until they reached the summit. After calling them down, he gave them instructions on the next step. Now guys, walking and running are quite different. The usual instruction in tree walking is to run until you get used to it, but I found out that doing the exercise I taught you can help let you focus chakra to your feet faster. Once you get the feel of it, you can start running up and see if you have improved. Now hop to it. With groans, the 3 boys positioned themselves and ran, keeping their concentration, up the tree. With the exception of Naruto, everyone was taken aback when the boys ran up the tree with ease. The next step is now. Okay guys, the next step is to run up and down the tree. Once you got that down, I want you to increase your speed in running. This will help you get used to the constant change of channeling chakra to your legs and feet. Once you master this, it should be second nature to you. Naruto called out to the 3 boys who were running. The boys' enormous moans were audible to everyone as they continued to do as Naruto had instructed. A week has passed since the fight with Zabuza, and Naruto has been occupied with training alongside his teammates. He went to his own training since he had already mastered tree walking and water walking once more, and his senseis were unable to teach him any ninjutsu, genjutsu, or taijutsu techniques. For this reason, Naruto is currently practicing with Kazeheim in a remote clearing a short distance from Tazuna's home. As he was switching between stances, his mind kept returning to the meeting he had with the other members of the team the previous evening and his run-in with Tsunami's son, Inari. Retrospective. In the kitchen, Team 7 and Team 8 were having an unplanned meeting about the future battle with their Junin sensei. According to Kakashi's theory, it would take at least 2 weeks for Zabuza's severe injuries from Naruto's hands to heal, but they would be cautious and designate some of them to watch out for Tazuna whenever he went out to work on the bridge. 2 genins and at least 1 Junin sensei would be present to protect the client. They made the decision to pair Sasuke with Sakura, Shino and Hinata, and Naruto and Kiba. The selection of the team was based on complementary individual skills. I would expect that we have 5 to 7 days more for Zabuza to heal up and finally launch an attack on the bridge to kill Tazuna. All of your current training will have to continue to make sure that it would give you a good chance to survive and bring down the enemy. Kakashi responded. Kurenai carried on Kakashi's line of reasoning. She looked directly at Naruto, who was attempting to hide his embarrassment at the direct jab over his Kamagen, and said, also, it is quite possible that Zabuza would be bringing in reinforcements considering the firepower we have at our disposal. We need to come up with a plan to prepare the place of battle just in case their numbers is too much for us to handle. So any ideas? Deep in contemplation, Naruto proposed, I'm not sure if it would work, but we could make use of my other trap seal just in case if the numbers is too much for us to handle. Kakashi gazed at Naruto, intrigued by the proposal. What do you mean trap seal? Are you talking about the one you used in the battle with Zabuza? He took the white seal tag out of his pocket and placed it on the table so that everyone could see it. Yes and no. Yes, because the concept is similar, and no, it is totally different. Everyone was curiously observing it. This is the other trap seal that I designed that is similar to the one on my gloves. Instead of firing the projectile in the pointed direction, this trap tag fires the weapons at specific intervals in all direction. Perfect 360 degrees projectile attack. All is needed is to give it enough chakra for it to keep firing or until it runs out of projectiles, proudly stated Naruto. Both Kurenai and Kakashi were impressed. In any conflict, the advantage of such a seal will quickly turn the tide in their favor. Where to put them is now the only issue. That is a very good idea, Naruto. All we need to do is to decide where to place these tags to get the most out of it. Naruto tapped a finger to his chin. I think we can easily set up the battlefield to our favor by making sure that the trap seals are near the place where Tazuna is located. If I base it on what I read on the history books, Zabuza and Gato would likely attack at the end of the bridge since Tazuna would be there. He is their target after all. After giving that some thought, Kakashi nodded. Shino interrupted Kakashi by raising his hands and saying, Naruto, good idea. I think it would be best to place the trap at night to make sure you aren't found out. Yes, Shino. When everyone's eyes were on Shino, he coughed a little. I would like to add to that plan. It is logical to have either Hinata or me assist Naruto as a lookout once he place the traps to make sure that the coast is clear and eliminate the chance of discovery. Hinata's Byakugan or my insects can keep a lookout on the perimeter to make sure that no one can see Naruto as he places and hides the traps. Kurenai gave a nod. Shino nodded in response to the compliment, saying, that is a pretty good idea, Shino. Glad you thought of it. She glanced at everyone. Let's go with that plan. Every evening starting tonight, Naruto and Hinata or Shino will go to the bridge and lay down the trap. Make sure it is well hidden. Shino or Hinata will be on lookout. If the attack doesn't happen the next day, Naruto will recycle the trap to the newest section of the bridge in preparation for the next day, stated Kurenai. Since that part is over and done with, now we need to discuss a strategy to deal with Zabuza and his goons when the attacks do happen. My plan is quite simple but is open to suggestion. Me and Naruto will directly confront Zabuza. Since Zabuza is a Kenjutsu user, Naruto can confront him easily, but it is best not to underestimate him. I will provide enough distractions or potential one-hit kill attacks when a hole in his defense appears. Any questions so far? Kakashi was looking at everyone in the room. He nodded at Sasuke after noticing that he was about to speak. Sasuke frowned and said, why is the Dobi accompanying you? I should be the one to confront Zabuza. The idea was so ridiculous that Kakashi simply shook his head. Simple really, Sasuke, you don't have background nor experience in Kenjutsu. Naruto here has trained with some of my friends in Anbu regarding his sword style, so I would say that he is pretty good with it if he can handle two of them at the same time. Another is you don't have the Sharingan yet, so you will not be able to help much except for throwing your fire techniques everywhere. Sasuke was furious with the remark, but he silent. Okay, let me continue. Kurenai, Sasuke, and Hinata will take care of any other party that Zabuza brings with him. Kurenai will provide long-range support through her illusions and incapacitate the opponents. Sasuke will rotate between mid-range ninjutsu or short-range taijutsu depending on the situation, and Hinata will provide scouting using her Byakugan or additional short-range taijutsu attacks with Sasuke. You think that you two can handle that? Kakashi was looking at a beaming Sasuke and nervous Hinata, who both said yes. Good. Next, Sakura and Shino will protect Tazuna while on the bridge. Shino will be able to utilize his bugs for attack, defense, and reconnaissance. Sakura will provide short-range support. She can use her illusions to trap incoming opponents for a short while before Shino can take care of it. Well, that's what I got so far. Any other suggestions? Replied Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, if we do trigger the trap tags I placed on the bridge, I want everyone to huddle up to me so I can activate my barrier to protect everyone. Trust me, When I say it is needed, said Naruto. Why is that? Shino raised an eyebrow in question. Simple, I designed that trap seal to make sure that there are no holes in the projectile trajectory. When I say perfect 360 degrees attack, then you are looking at kunais or shurikens traveling at insane speed in every direction. There are no holes except under the tag, of course. He laughed as he said the final sentence. That is understandable. I want you to demonstrate to the group how this trap tag of yours works so we will know what to look out for when it is activated, told Kakashi. We can also use Tazuna as a rendezvous point when it is time to activate Naruto's tags. This way, we can protect everyone at the time, laughed Sakura. Kakashi gave nod. Sakura blushed at the compliment. Good idea, Sakura. Glad you thought of that. Inari entered the kitchen and glared at everyone before anyone could respond. Why are you all trying so hard? Don't you see that Gato is invincible? You're all going to die if you fight him. The angry child screamed. Kiba boasted, we are ninja kids. We can handle a 2-bit thug like Gato easily. Akamaru barked in agreement. With tears streaming from his eyes, Inari yelled, no. You're all going to die. He is just too strong. With a smug grin and a contemptuous glance at the boy, Sasuke boasted, as if, I'm a Uchiha, so this Gato is no match against me. Naruto simply glanced at the boy and saw the sadness and complete hopelessness in his eyes. He recalled the tale Tsunami had told him about Inari's stepfather, Kanzai, who lost his life defending Wave's residence against Gato. Since then, Inari has been retreating into a melancholy shell and retaliating against anyone considering opposing the despotic businessman. Naruto whispered, Inari, you really think that? But everyone in the room could clearly hear him. Yes, you people shouldn't be here. You are just going to die. You don't understand what we went through. Those who fought Gato died. You are all going to die. Inari screamed. No, Inari, it is you who don't understand. We know what you are going through right now. Shut up. You don't know anything about us. You people didn't suffer as we did in the hands of Gato. At the declaration, Kakashi and Kurenai froze, staring at Naruto as they waited for him to snap at the obviously upset child. What they observed was a composed Naruto looking at the boy with compassion. Calm Naruto said, tell me, Inari, what do you know about the life of a shinobi? Inari simply gave a negative shake of his head. You are not the only one who knows suffering, Inari. The life of a shinobi is no easy life. We are always brought into the face of danger and every day is a challenge just to stay alive. Take Sasuke over there for example, he lost his entire clan in just one night because of his brother killing all of them. Kakashi-sensei and Kurenai-sensei are both orphans, both of them lost their parents during the war. Hinata lost his mother and is brought up in a household that is full of conflict. There are two among us who have a relatively normal life, like Sakura and Shino there, but that don't make their life easier. We all have our own suffering. Naruto inhaled deeply and prepared himself for his next statement. You say we don't know suffering, Inari. Well, what do you know of my life? I was raised without any parents, an orphan. I never knew the identity of my parents. I was only told 2 years ago who they were. I was left in an orphanage despite who my father was. I was kicked out of said orphanage at the age of 4. I was glared at every day. Mobs after mobs would try to kill me. Dozens of assassins appear in my apartment almost every night trying to get rid of me. One day every year, the entire village would bring out their weapons and chase me all around the village trying to maim me. Now tell me, Inari, don't you think I know suffering? At least you have your mother and grandfather to take care of you. You have a nice home to shelter you and their love to sustain you. I have none of it and you think I don't know suffering. The last person he spoke to, an obviously shaken boy. Inari collapsed to the ground and sobbed uncontrollably because he could take it no more. Feeling sorry for the child, Naruto got up from his chair. He approached Inari's hunched figure and knelt before him. The teen was obviously upset, so he did the only thing he could. He gave him a hug. The boy sobbed while holding Naruto close to his chest. In an attempt to help the boy relax, Naruto continued to rub his back and speak soothingly to him. Everyone stared at Naruto and Inari on the floor in silence. None of them had any questions or consoling things to say. There was no need for any. It was evident to them that Naruto accepted his life and allowed it to remain in the past. They simply watched since there was nothing to say. Inari eventually sobbed himself to sleep, so Naruto gathered him in his arms and turned to face the other people in the room. After saying, "Guys, I'm going to put Inari to bed and then I'm going out for a while," he left the room and went upstairs while holding a sleeping boy who was crying. Final flashback. Both Naruto and Inari were inseparable when in the house, and the rest of the team frequently found them talking and laughing in the garden or on the roof. Since that incident, Naruto and Inari had grown close and were sharing stories about their lives. Inari looked up to Naruto as a brother, while the latter has been treating the child as a little brother he never had. After channeling a small amount of chakra to Kazeheim, who was instantly encircled by a greenish glow, Naruto cut one of the trees in front of him with a horizontal slice and released a crescent-shaped wave of chakra. Naruto then left his stance, put his sword back in the tattoo, and wiped the perspiration from his face. The sound of a crunch of leaves alerted him to the possibility of an attack, and he turned to see a girl carrying a wicker basket full of herbs, dressed in a pink sleeveless kimono with dark pink trimmings, looking shocked at the boy's sudden tenseness. "I apologize," the girl said, "I didn't mean to startle you." Naruto smiled at the girl and relaxed, saying, "No issue, miss. I was just taken aback, that's all." The girl smiled back, and Naruto instantly brushed the idea from his mind after noticing that she was kind of cute. "Pervert," he scolded himself. "What are you doing out in the woods, miss?" "Hi there, I'm Haku. To get some herbs for a friend, I came out here. I want to help him heal faster by getting him some medicinal herbs for his injury because he was recently injured," the now-named girl explained. "Haku, it's nice to meet you." Wiping the perspiration from his face, Naruto said, "My name is Naruto, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto." He took off his robe and folded it on the ground next to him. "Naruto, nice to meet you. Around here, I haven't seen you. Are you new to this place?" As she approached Naruto, Haku inquired. "Not at all. Tazuna, the bridge builder, asked us to come here," Naruto remarked. "Oh, you must therefore be the ninjas the villagers were referring to." Haku praised Gato, saying, "You must be very strong to stand up to Gato." She settled down on the ground and put the basket of herbs next to her. Following her lead, Naruto landed on the grass in front of her, scratching his head in shame. "No, not really," he said. "This job is still new to me. Prior to your arrival, I was engaged in some training." "Really, it appears that you are already fairly strong." She pointed to Naruto's muscular body, which was clearly visible due to his fishnet shirt. Naruto reddened. "No, I work out whenever I can to get stronger because I still have a lot of room to grow." "Tell me, Naruto, do you have any precious people back at your home?" Haku asked, glancing at him for a long time. "Well, I do have some precious people back in Konoha," Naruto said, scratching his head in confusion at the question. "I have my teammates, the Ichiraku family, and the elderly Hokage." "Why? I once heard a wise man say that having people you want to protect can make you really strong. Since I agree with that saying and you're working to strengthen yourself, I just wanted to let you know that I'm sure you'd find it helpful," Haku said. Naruto nodded, agreeing with her statement because it was part of his initial motivation. In addition to wanting to be the world's strongest shinobi, he also wanted to be stronger than everyone so that he could defend the people he cared about. Both Naruto and Haku had a pleasant conversation afterward, during which Naruto shared details of his life in Konoha, though he didn't want to frighten his new friend. He also learned that Haku was an orphan from the mist who fled to Wave with her friend in order to escape the war and killings. Unaware that Haku was experiencing the same emotions, Naruto saw similarities in their lives and was a little relieved to have found someone who understood him. Naruto offered to help her get the herbs she wanted, and an amused Haku left with a basket full of medicinal herbs thanks to Naruto and his shadow clones. After an hour, Haku informed him that she had to leave soon and that she still needed to pick some more herbs for her friend. As Haku left the clearing they were in and headed into the woods, Naruto watched her intently. When the last of her silhouette vanished, he shook his head and made the decision to keep training, but a voice cut him off. An amused Kyuubi remarked, "Wow Kit, I never knew you were branching out." Rolling his eyes, Naruto snarled, "Shut up you pervert." "Me, a pervert, ha, the dirty thoughts weren't mine. In addition, I would like to congratulate you on your recent transformation." Naruto raised an inquisitive eyebrow at this. "What has changed recently?" "Well, your obvious appreciation of Haku." As though it were the most obvious thing in the world, Kyuubi said, "A looker." "All right, it's only natural for me to admire the other sex because I'm a guy Kyuubi," Naruto defended himself. "True, but you forgot one important fact." "What?" "Even when I have to use you to channel my sense of smell, it never fails." Haku is a boy, the now smirking fox said. What? Dinner was about to be served when Naruto returned to Tazuna's house, and everyone was taken aback by his appearance. His robes were essentially undamaged and folded in his arms, but his fishnet shirt and pants were ripped to shreds, and there were obvious signs of a big fight, which had been caused by the meeting that had taken place in the woods. Sadistic furballs, he wouldn't have gone overboard with his training tigers, but the idea of admiring a boy made his skin crawl, and he wanted desperately to forget about it by facing up with his claws, paws, and fangs. It was a therapy that worked wonders, and he even made the tigers happy by asking them to increase their training a little. Naruto, where have you been? How did you fare? When Kurenai saw Naruto enter the room and realized how sorry he was, she let out a cry. Kurenai-sensei, don't worry about that. I'm simply worn out, Naruto replied. I just returned from training, as he sagged on the couch. Practicing. You won't look like that with any training. The red-eyed Junin complained, and before Naruto could say anything more, Sakura slammed in. You need not be concerned about Naruto, Kurenai-sensei. She turned to Naruto and said, you trained with the trio again, didn't you? This is normal for him, trust me. Yes, Naruto said, nodding. He shuddered at what he had to go through with his training, and the motivation behind his desire for it to be that way. Naruto concluded that his training tigers had become more vicious in their attacks of him after every workout, and he made a mental note to not tell them to increase their training if their desire for sadism was getting stronger by the day. Kurenai gave Sakura a crazy look and said, explain. Sakura rolled her eyes and said, don't worry, Naruto just trained with his tigers. I ought to be aware. I freaked out the first time I saw him being attacked by those tigers of his. He referred to it as dodge training. Kurenai chose not to press the issue because such training was unfamiliar to her and she simply nodded stupidly at the idea. Sakura returned her attention to Naruto, saying, can we discuss something, Naruto? Sakura was looking serious, so Naruto nodded and said, yes. Please give me 20 minutes so I can take a shower and change before we meet in my room. After Sakura gave him a nod, Naruto went to the living room to change. As promised, Sakura knocked on Naruto's room after 20 minutes, and after a few seconds, the door opened to reveal a slightly wet Naruto wrapped in a towel, wearing nothing but a towel around his waist. Sakura blushed a little at the sight of her blonde teammate's toned body. Naruto was unaware of it, of course. Hello, Sakura, I apologize for not dressing yet. I was enjoying the shower so much that I forgot to keep track of the time. Would you mind entering? After saying, I'll get back to you in a minute, Naruto hurried to the table to get his clothes, then he ran to the bathroom and locked it. Sakura simply shook her head, entered the room, and sat down in one of the beds to wait for Naruto to emerge from the restroom. She saw that Shino and Kiba's packs were also present. With his hair still a little wet and the towel he had used slung over his shoulders, Naruto emerged from the bathroom 5 minutes later, wearing a white shirt and dark blue shorts, and he collapsed on the bed in front of Sakura. So, Sakura, what do you want to talk about that seems important? A curious Naruto inquired. After a moment of hesitation, Sakura summoned all her courage and turned to face Naruto with a determined expression on her face. I want to become strong, Naruto. I beg you once more to assist me in my training. This didn't surprise Naruto, who had been observing Sakura's slight changes since they started the mission. The girl no longer fawned over Sasuke when he was hurt in sparring or followed him like a sick puppy. Apparently, the field experience changed her, albeit slightly, and he chose to administer the same test to her. Sakura, you are already aware of the terms of my assistance. You need to figure out why you want to get stronger, Naruto said calmly. I can't seem to get that out of my head ever since you told me that, Sakura said, nodding. I've realized how ineffective I was at everything you guys did ever since the battle with the Demon Brothers and Zabuza. You're not the only strong person, after all. I could see that each member of the team had a unique set of skills to offer. But me, she looked down, feeling sad about her frailty. You have never been weak, Sakura, Naruto said, simply shaking his head. You have the makings of a formidable Konoha shinobi. Simply put, you lack the motivation you need to move forward. I'll ask you the same thing again, why do you want to get stronger? With resolve burning behind them, Sakura lifted her head and gazed directly into Naruto's eyes. I want to be strong so I can protect myself, she said. I want to stop being a burden. I don't want to ever feel weak again after realizing how weak I am. I want you to help me develop into a powerful kunoichi, Naruto. With a voice that tolerates no nonsense, Sakura declared, I am strong enough to protect myself, my teammate, and those I love. Naruto smiled and said, correct answer Sakura. He thought of a particular scroll and directed some chakra towards his storage tattoo. Sakura was slightly startled by a puff of smoke before she noticed a pink scroll in Naruto's hand. What is that? She gestured toward the scroll held by a beaming Naruto. Oh, this is your training schedule. When you first asked for my assistance, I made it. You haven't discovered the proper motivation, which is why I didn't give it to you. I'll give you this to aid in your training now that you have it. The scroll indicates everything you need to begin learning the fundamentals. As he handed the scroll to a stunned Sakura who was about to cry, Naruto explained, I also included some training tools and a weapon that would fit you quite well along with some jutsus that I'm sure you can master with ease. Naruto rose from the bed and started for the door, but Sakura's voice stopped him. With a firm voice, Sakura proclaimed, I won't fail you Naruto. With a smile, Naruto said in a whisper, I'm sure you won't Sakura. He then left, shutting the door behind him, leaving a determined and appreciative Sakura inside. Today, compared to the others, Naruto woke up quite early. His talk with Sakura last night was, to put it mildly, illuminating, and he merely hoped that she could manage the training regimen he had created for her. If she adhered to the instructions to the letter, he was confident that she would be a valuable member of the team within a month. When Tsunami called him for breakfast, Naruto stopped his training and went downstairs to finish his morning workout in the garden. He was about to tell her to give him a few more minutes, but his stomach growled against the idea, so he reluctantly trudged back to the house and headed towards the kitchen. Naruto had finished his morning routine in the bathroom. Naruto, who was working a dull job of watching out for the old man, found himself walking toward the bridge with Shino and Tazuna. He wished Zabuza would just attack and end this so he could escape the hell that is boredom. Upon arriving at the bridge, Naruto observed that there were fewer workers than during his previous guard duty, and one of them approached the elderly man with a sad expression on his face while sporting a straw hat resembling Tazuna's. Hello, Kinto, how may I help you? Where are the other employees? Knowing what this was about, Tazuna asked. Kinto avoided making eye contact with Tazuna. Tazuna, I don't think I can work with you anymore. Naruto could see the rage, grief, and resolve behind those glasses, but Tazuna's face remained expressionless. Why? The bridge is almost finished. 2 more weeks and we could have finished it and get away from Gato. Kinto gave a shoulder shrug. I can't take it anymore old man. Gato is making it worst for everyone. Only a few are able to disregard his actions and continue to work with you. The others who left before me was already too stressed from his tyranny. I have to quit now before Gato set his eyes on my family. They are all I have. He begged the elderly gentleman to leave. Tazuna simply gave the man a shoulder clap and nodded. Don't worry Kinto, I won't hold it against you. Go back to you family. We'll get the bridge finished on time. Don't you worry. Kinto nodded appreciatively to Tazuna before continuing on past the elderly man and returning to his family, who were waiting. Tazuna's shoulders slumped as the man disappeared, and she cast a sorrowful glance at the few employees who dared to assist him. If this keeps up, I'll have to finish the bridge by myself. Naruto glanced at the employees before turning back to Tazuna. Hey old man, when you started out how many workers do you have? I think I had around 50 of the guys working with me. Why do you ask? Ignoring the question, Naruto retaliated with another. With 50 workers, how long would it take to finish the bridge? Tazuna scowled thoughtfully and turned to face the incomplete bridge. Naruto nodded and said, if I had 50 workers with me, I would say 2 more weeks. What if you had more? Do you think you could finish it early? Tazuna chuckled. Well kid, if I had 100 workers then I can finish this bridge in a week or even less if they work fast. Why you asked kid? Naruto grinned wickedly at him. Now that Tazuna was interested, she said, I think I can provide you with enough workers to get your bridge done in the shortest possible time. Really kid, how do you intend to do that? Tazuna asked, obviously making fun of Naruto's belief that a kid could provide him with the worker he requires. Naruto made his signature seal and yelled, with this shadow clone mass. When a big cloud of smoke cleared from the bridge, 200 Narutos were visible, grinning cheekily at Tazuna. Naruto gazed at a gaping Tazuna and nodded in response to the scene. Well, old man, there's your workers, now why don't you take charge and get this bridge of yours done? They have my skill and strength so they can do what I can do to help you with everything you want. If you want more, all you need to do is ask. Tazuna took a long time to recover from his shock before expressing his sincere gratitude to Naruto. All the blonde genin did was wave and tell him to hurry up. Tazuna then began assigning the clones to various jobs and got them to work. Tazuna was directing the clones while Naruto and Shino sat on the rock piles in one corner of the bridge. That was nice of you to help him out, Naruto-san, replied Shino. Embarrassed by the compliment, Naruto scratched the back of his head. His expression became serious as he said, "Nah. I just want to give them all the help they need. I don't want these people to feel sad and depressed anymore. The sooner they finish this bridge and we finish off Gato, the better their life would be." As he returned his vigil over the bridge to keep watch for impending dangers, Shino said, "Even so, it was kind of you to lend a helping hand. Even I no longer consider this a mission but a service that needs to be rendered." Naruto simply watched and nodded. He saw that a sheepish but enormous smile was on Tazuna's face as he approached him. "So what's up, old man?" Naruto asked with a smile. I wonder if you can make more of these clones. Since I know you guys can walk on walls, I wonder if I can use more clones to check the underside of the bridge and possibly do some reinforcement jobs on it. I couldn't do it with the previous workers, but with your skills, I can easily make the bridge stronger than ever." He finished by grinning proudly. "Sure, old man. Glad to help." 200 more clones were made by Naruto and instructed to obey Tazuna, who thanked him before scooting away. Shino simply arched an eyebrow at Naruto's ease of creating these clones. He would be dead if he used the same amount of the technique. He simply shook his head at the idea, concluding that Naruto had the ability to accomplish the seemingly impossible.
So this was the end of the series. I hope you enjoyed it. To watch more series like this, subscribe to my channel. Till then, we weep offline.